It is the day smack bang between two big events that stop either a town or a nation. Yesterday it was the race that stops Cessnock, the Australian Postie Light Grand Prix. Tomorrow it's the Lexus Melbourne Cup, the race that stops the nation. And for us, on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, it is night one of Term 4's 7th week. 4 weeks to go before the checkered flag flies on 2023 for us, and we hope for you as well. And of course, it's the first dose of Monday Night Motorsport for November. There are 4 of those. This time in 3 weeks, we reconvene for the grand finale of the season, a night that promises so much based on the agenda ahead. Good evening, everybody. Have a look at that. That's the lay of the land for the first cab off the rank tonight. Zach Cabe and Liam Banks and Adam Lavis with you for round 7 of Player 1 Sim Gear Super 2 from the MotorLand Aragón outer circuit. There's a little bit of a dog leg in the middle of the track on the back section of the circuit, the back straight, that has disappeared off this layout. And this configuration opens up the throttle a little bit more down the back straight, full tilt. We're very much looking forward to that. 19 degrees the ambient, 21 on track. That information will update in just a few moments because the qualifying session is at an end here. But yes, MotorLand Aragón's outer circuit and 4.89 kilometres the track length here. Still a tough sell to try and get bums on seats on the grid here. But that's what drop rounds are for, I guess. Have a look at the championship standings as we venture into this round. Greg Favell, 313 points. Timmy Harrison, 243, 20 clear of Michael Hammond. And, of course, we go back to Jaden Green there on 193 points, 190 for Stephen Varga, then Andrew Dutch, Dave Oliver, Anthony Vismar, Mark Horton, and John Merritt making up the top 10. Notable, Liam Banks, as we say good evening to you, just how many drivers are absent tonight?
Going to be a few drivers absent tonight just because of the track that has been chosen. Although what we're seeing here is all the people that evidently watch the MotoGP or any form of motorbike racing, because Aragón is a legendary track in those circles. And it seems like Greg Favell's watched the most because he's got the best handle on what the racing line is around here with a 134.6, putting him on pole. And I'll let you read out the rest of the grid, Zach.
Favell and Baker on the front row. Good performance from Tony Baker, but I'm worried already about the margin there. Dench-esque margins between first and second on the grid, let's be perfectly honest. Half a second, please. Tim Harrison, Ryan Teckle, the second row. Stephen Varga and also Mark Horton, the third row. Greg Brooks, Nick Wood, the fourth row. Travis Hunt and Michael Hammond from row 5. Row 6 is where you're going to find Tim Nicol and Chris Stark. Row 7, Will Buchanan and David Christensen. Row 8, Nick Fodiatis and Stephen Lawrence making up the field. Is Stephen Lawrence there? That is the 16th and last car. Set for a start here, and we'll wait to see what Greg Favell brings to the table tonight. We've had a cracking couple of weeks checking in with the boys in the Super 3 series. Our attention returns to Super 2, and it does so at one of the newest circuits on the server. And it is a night for new circuits, of course. This is the first cab off the rank. This is the first up assignment, the entree to the main course for Super 2. And then, of course, we get stuck into Waste Options GT3. And that tonight will be a split broadcast for you with the M-Split filling race 1 of the agenda. And, of course, race 2 will be seeing the GT3 Pro as the focus of the broadcast. It is another sprint round. It is at the newest circuit on the server, the Lédenon circuit in France. A venture into the unknown in every sense of the word. I'd never bloody heard about it until iRacing had announced it. So apparently it's not a figment of their imagination. Apparently it's a real circuit. We're going to find out whether it's popular or not in a few hours' time. Set to go in Super 2, however, to get us going on a Monday night. Let's go! One field on the grid. Will Buchanan went absolutely nowhere.
Oh, Phil.
Greg Favell's locked it up and gone too deep at 1 and through into the lead, albeit how briefly, is Tony Baker. Everybody else got safely away. No contact. Good to see. A little bit of argy-bargy and hip and shoulder. Then Michael Hammond! Oh no! Contact with Stephen Varga. They both get away with it, somehow. Well done, Michael Hammond. Squeezing his way through, forcing the issue early. And now look at Favell. making up for lost opportunity earlier in the piece, making up for his own mistake. Pavel goes back to front running and takes Tim Harris with him. Adam Lavis pointed out to us earlier in the night, before we got on air here, that Tim Harris has actually gone away and done the slightest bit of work on his livery tonight. We'll give you a close-up of that a little bit later on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Anthony Visma, not sure why you're commenting rather than racing. You might want to let us know, please. It's nice to have you back in the booth somewhere down the line. Down the back straight we go. Now this is the open drag down the long back straight of the outer loop here at the MotorLand Aragón circuit. So these cars will be bouncing off the Red Bull Division top here. Down to the MotoGP left-hander that brings them up onto the main straight. So the average speed of this lap is going to be well and truly up there, but given the amount of time that these cars will spend at full throttle. One down at Aragón.
I was talking to a few guys in practice, and they were tossing up whether to use the second or third highest diff setting in the V8s. The third one felt a bit better through the corners, but you were just topping out. The second highest one obviously gave you a bit more run down the slipstream, but it felt a little bit sluggish in the corners. So which way they've compromised, it'll be interesting to see how they go in the race.
Yeah, so that's going to, well, how that's going to appear in the races. You're going to see some drivers with very similar lap times and the distance between them closing in and expanding throughout the lap as they are either going down the start-finish straight, which will mean those with high diff setting are going to pull away, or in that quite tight, twisty section they were in now, you're going to see some cars really closing the gap to the car ahead. I think you're going to want the top speed for raceability, would be my putting out the two, as long as the lap times are sufficiently similar. We've seen the impact that can have it in other series. So those that have gone with the slightly lower diff setting and are going to have more problems in the corners, they might find it hard to overtake. And just ask anybody not on a Ducati what that feels like when you don't have the straight line speed of the vehicles around you. We're now watching on board with Mark Horton. He's got Stephen Varga behind him. Varga was still getting shuffled out by Mikey Hammond in the first couple of corners. Hammond finding a gap on the inside that was just about a car's width, keeping his nose there and not letting Varga turn in. Varga tried to turn in and it caused him to spin. Varga getting back up behind Mikey Hammond now, running 5th and 6th. That'll be interesting to see what happens when hostilities resume between those two.
We're at 136.207 for Greg Pavel, 136.159 for Michael Hammond, fastest car on the racetrack right now. Through turn one we go. We pick up in 9th place there, Travis Hunt. Chris Starkin behind him, and then Nick Wood as well. So far we had 16 starters and 16 still running. Will Buchanan's got back to 15th place. Greg Brooks has dropped all the way down to 16th place. Car 007 is the fastest on the racetrack at the moment. Greg Pavel, Tim Harris, Ryan Tegel, Tony Baker, Michael Hammond getting by. Door opens. Not only did Ryan Tegel go through, but Michael Hammond as well. And Baker drops to 5th, and now Hammond fancies his chances on Tegel as well down the inside. Oh boy, look at the 007, the old experienced man. The versatile Michael Hammond. 2 spots for the price of 1 in the opening stages of lap 3.
Tegel getting deep into that corner, locking the brakes, and that gave Hammond all the opportunity he needs. He doesn't need an invitation so much as just a sly look his way, and he will go through that gap and invite himself to the party, and that's exactly what he's done there. Put himself into the podium positions. He's now chasing Tim Harris down. Tim Harris got the podium position from Ryan Tegel on that lap as well, so not a great lap from Tegel. Harris is 2nd, Hammer time in 3rd, and now we're doing battle very, very shortly, unless Tegel is able to get back past Hammond as he's trying to do here. Around the outside is not the place to be there, but it's going to let the pull shooting entry get up to the inside.
Look at him.
No, Hammond holds onto position.
Here comes Varga, though.
Down the main straight to turn 1 once more. Varga wants a piece of it. Tegel boxed out of it. Tegel drops down to 7th. Varga up to 6th, I should say. Varga up to 5th. Hammond holding off Tony Baker at the moment. I've got a 6-way freight train, a 6-way fight now for 3rd place in the race. Pavel's taken off, 135.619. Harris has gone with him. They've got good breathing space over Hammond and the chasing pack. Wide, wide, wide. Ryan Tegel, and drops a couple of car lengths as a result of that.
You just clarify which cars are which. Got two very similar liveried cars there. So Tony Baker is the Pulse tuning entry in the middle, the red and yellow car. That K-marked car is, of course, Stephen Varga, and Mikey Hammond is the Bailey Ladders entry ahead of him, running very similar liveries. So focus on the words and look at the bonnet of those two to determine which one's Hammond and which one is Varga. Hammond and Varga, if there's two drivers on the track that aren't going to work together, it's going to be those two, given what happened in the opening lap. However, they need to work together if they want to get any higher on the podium than they are currently, because it's a 3.7-second gap to Tim Harris, and I think they've got good pace. But if they start battling each other, you can wave goodbye to any prospects of getting first or second in this race.
And of course, pit strategy going to be so vitally important here as well, Banksy. We've mentioned it in the past that races, particularly this short and particularly this fierce, can be won and lost on the lane. I just get the feeling that we're heading in the same direction with this scrap here at the moment. It's 5 deep. In third place at the moment, well, this battle as well, the one behind third place is also 5 deep. 2 5-car fights at the moment. Greg Padgett tuning in. Good evening to you, good sir. Can't wait to have you back out on the circuit. Have a look at Hammond and Varga going for it as well. Varga trying to get down the inside and can't do it. And of course, behind them, Nick Woods holding off Horton, Stark, Nickel, Lawrence, Photiadis, and Christensen. And have a look at Hammond. You can see out the back, the rear view mirrors full of Stephen Varga and Tony Baker and Ryan Tegel and Travis Hunt as well. Horton and Stark behind that, arguing over the same piece of real estate. Tegel's been relegated to 7th, Hunt's moved up to 6th. Plenty happening here. And again, I come back to the point that Adam Lavis made. How the bloody hell do we sell people on Aragón with racing like this?
Well, we've got to get him to watch the stream after the fact. If you're watching this on replay after racing, grab anyone that you saw not in the race tonight, get them to watch this, so the next time the Aragón pops up on the GSRC calendar, they know to get their butts out here, get in a car and get on track, because it provides brilliant racing almost every time we come here. Now we're watching on stream, that's Baker trying to get a run on Varga and Hammond, who are side by side, all daring each other to break as late as they can. There's going to be contact there. That's... Has that been held? That's been held.
That's Varga. He's held it, but he's lost a lot of ground. He's dropped down to 7th behind Ryan Tegel. Tegel gets a gift there, and here comes Michael Hammond. Tony Baker, the winner, and all that back to 3rd place. Tegel back down the inside, and Varga up the outside. Varga holds on. Varga trying to hold on down the inside into turn 2, does so. Tegel wants to force the issue, but has no choice but to yield. Baker back down the inside. Travis Hunt boxed in here. A big part of the equation now. Hammond holding 3rd. He's got back in front of Baker. 6 cars fighting for 3rd in the car race. You couldn't ask for much more than this.
And I have absolutely no idea how Varga's door panels are still straight and not dented to not almost swore then and not dented a lot, because he's had a lot of contact just with Hammond this race, let alone anything else that we may have missed off camera. I'll tell you what, if he's not seeing red, he's a more patient man than I would not be happy if I'd been hit on the inside twice.
Whoa, more contact, more contact, Don! There was contact between Baker and Hunt. That backed Varga up with nowhere to go, and look at Varga's front end, it's gone. And up the outside there now comes Nick Wood. Nick Wood's going to 4th. It's all gone off. It's all blown up in Spain.
If he can make it to the end, I think Varga's going to have to pit to get that repaired, because you can see he's losing straight line speed with that damage.
I was going to say, there was no way.
There goes Ryan Tegel.
There's no way he was pulling that up.
Oh, it's on in Spain. Have a look at him. They'll be peeling off to go to pit lane, I would imagine. In goes Hammond, in goes Varga. At the end of lap 6, 15 to play. 15 minutes on the clock. Yep, we're only 40% of the way there. So much has happened in the opening 10 minutes. And it so often does. The shorter the race, the higher the intensity. So you haven't disappointed tonight.
I tell you what, if you ask Favell and Harris how this race was, they're going to go, you know what? Nice track, but pretty darn boring, actually.
Yep.
Not much wheel to wheel. You ask anybody else, and they're going to be raving about the race. Everybody else is in one battle pack, pretty much. Look at this.
Oh. Baker tried to go down the inside. GT3 into that corner was never going to go, but it wasn't Baker's fault. He'd actually backed out of it to a point. It was the contact, the hip and shoulder between Hammond and Varga that unsettled everything. And Baker was the winner in all of that, the beneficiary. He managed to squeeze down the inside. And it was that a little bit later on when it all blew up in smoke and unspiked to the other side of Baker.
Yeah, looking at that Varga Hammond contact again. I'm not sure Varga can have too much trouble with it, too many problems with it, because he did pinch quite a lot towards the inside. Did leave a car's width, to be fair, but when you pinch that much, I think it would have been difficult for Hammond to keep on the curve, keep as much of the inside as Varga was effectively requesting him to do. So I'm not surprised there was contact, and looking at it, it's definitely much more of a racing incident than I initially pulled it. So just good hard racing. Oh, that's not good hard racing.
Into the wall, that's an enormous shot in pit lane. Oh my goodness me. There have been some big shunts tonight. This will be it. This will be David Christensen. Oh. Ryan Tagle and David Christensen. Off and out. Christensen, I tell you what, Christensen might get done there. Christensen could get done there because he's already technically in pit lane.
So it looks like Tagle's hit the inside curb.
Yellow cones down there. So he didn't get across the line though, because he's on the green. Because he's on the green, he might get done.
Yeah, I was going to say, will he get done for driving the wrong way out of pit lane? It won't matter now because he's actually gone in. He's only been held for 15 seconds.
Oh, so
Varga, Hammond, Tagle, Buchanan, Hunt, and Christensen have all pitted to this point.
This is Mark Horton. He's side by side with Stefan Lawrence. Stefan Lawrence on the inside, Horton on the outside in the white and green car. Horton on the outside for the next corner. So you think Lawrence has the advantage, but it's quite a fast corner. You can hold it around the outside if you're brave. No, Mark Horton decides to go for the up and under. And Stefan Lawrence keeps the car on the inside, hooks that corner, doesn't give Horton the space for the up and under. Horton, you saw the brake lights light up mid-corner. To get out of it, couldn't carry all his momentum, and Stephen Lawrence defends position, and Horton decides,
Look,
I think I'll pass that.
Through them. Hammond and Varga are back together. Varga's fueled short potentially. 11.63 plays. Hammond's 14.82. Hammond to the outside at the end of the back straight. Looking to hang tough around there and get the up and under the one. Not going to work. Not this time. This race is on. Well and truly on.
Yes, ambitious is a good word for it. Looking forward to seeing your in the GT3 race tonight, Jared. And this is Hammond. He's note that Varga ahead of him has actually repaired the car. That bonnet is looking much more normal now. That was missing a few laps ago, so definitely using his fast repair in the pits. I imagine Hammond also had some damage and would have used his potentially.
It looked like Wagner managed to dodge a 5-minute penalty.
Yeah, which is impressive. I wonder how many incidence points these two have got, because they've got to be getting towards the limit already, just with the amount of contacts they've had this race so far. Very similar pace between the two of them, so it'll be interesting to see who can get the victory between those two throughout the race. This is Nick Wood. He's effectively inherited the podium position right now, but with a few cars having pitted, Varga and Hammond, the leaders of those, we do not know where he's going to feed out once he makes his pit stop and the field is cleansed, but he is a full 10 seconds behind Tim Harris. So those first two positions are locked, sewn up, they're done and dusted unless one of them makes a drastic mistake, and now it's about who can get that final spot on the podium between Wood, Baker, Lawrence, Hammond and Varga. We saw them all sharing the same bit of track before Varga and Hammond pitted. Will that prove to be clever, or will the overcut prove to be the correct strategy? We'll have to wait and find out. We'll have to wait long. Only 15 minutes left of this race, despite it being a pit stop in this race. It is only a short race. It is only 25 minutes. That pit stop is forced due to severely restricting the size of their fuel tanks. This is Greg Brooks. He's putting pressure on Chris Stark. Greg Brooks down one spot from where he started, And Chris Stark is up 5, so Chris Stark having a fantastic race, although that will be helped by some cars pitting ahead of him. Brooks looking to get he's got a better traction out of that corner. Definitely got a run on the car ahead. Can he? No. Thought he might be able to get an overlap. And that's not great through that corner. Both cars actually having a little bit of lockup. You can see the smoke coming out of the tyres. So both of these drivers really pushing it, braking to the absolute limit. And this is moved to the inside from Brooks. Nice and clean. He gets past Stark.
Have a look at them, still side by side. So Brooks with the advantage there at the moment. In comes Favell. Harris continues on. We've got 10 in the books, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 9 minutes to go. Side by side down the back straight. Brooks has been relegated here. Stark with the run. Stark going to 7th and Brooks yields. Down the outside they go. Again, the outside being utilised, but not to anyone's terrible advantage at the moment. They're both in the lane.
So 5 cars in the lane right now for Val, Baker, Stark, Brooks, Lawrence. This is going to cleanse much of the field. Tim Harris, we know, is in 2nd place and is probably going to remain in 2nd place, given he was a full 4 seconds behind before the pit stops were made. Val comes out in 4th place ahead of Varga and Hammond's time, which shows you just how immense his advantage has been at the front of the field. And it looks like Varga and Hammond, who pitted early, have benefited from that strategy, and they are the lead runners of those who have pitted that were not in the top 2. So they are on track for the podium. This is the battle for 3rd place.
So Favell, Varga and Hammond. Harris, Wood, Fodiata still to pit, but everybody else has done so. David Christensen a lap down, had to come in and stop again, 49.33 seconds. So 2 stops for him, and one of those would have been a stop and hold, no doubt, based on everything we were talking about with that pit lane scuffle. And also having been held was Mark Horton for 52.88 seconds as well. That was on his first stop though. Tim Harris comes to pit lane. Nick Wood and Nick Fodiatis will most likely follow. I wouldn't be surprised if Fodiatis is trying to play the long game here and get another lap out of the tank. We'll know the answer to that in just a few moments. Harrison Wood in, Fodiatis to continue on. No surprise. We're riding with Stephen Brooks. Have a look at him. Have a look at Brooks and trying to get down on the inside. Of course, chasing Chris Stark still. Starkey doing a nice job. Keeping him at bay. But the drag race, the slipstream is immense down here. And he's just happy Brooks to sit in there and ride the bumper bar. There's nothing in that. On the brakes to the end of the back straight. Through they go. Brooks and hoping for a tighter, cleaner run out of there to get that slipstream advantage down the main straight. I think Stark's going to be okay for the moment. And in there behind Greg Brooks is Will Buchanan. He's got to be mindful of Buchanan now as Brooks is. So he's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Wants to get past Stark, but doesn't want to lose out to Buchanan.
Yeah, it could end up being a case of pass or be passed if Buchanan gets any closer. We saw that earlier on when there was 4, 5, 6 cars all bunched up. When a car lost one position, it tended to lose 1 or 2 more before the end of the lap, just because it put them out of sync with everyone else for the rest of the lap, and it was hard to sort of force their way back into the train and claim their position strongly once more.
We just couldn't go. Just quickly, so Nick get his screenshot for his advertising. There you go, 1st place. Good on you, Nick.
Yeah.
But more importantly,
looking after your teammate. Oh no, big moment! Baker and Hammond are coming together. Hammond's in the wall. An enormous shunt for Michael Hammond. Good to see Adam Lavis capturing both moments for both teammates. Nick Fodiatis, of course, being the race leader until he pits now. And Greg Favell punching out the fastest lap of the race just then as well, 135, 172. And then this moment for Hammond to Tony Baker. And I think, wow, look at the air Hammond got there. I think Baker might have a case to answer for just quietly too, ladies and gentlemen. Only because when you look at this, have a look at
he's going off the track.
He's off the racetrack. That's the problem. Who would want to be race control? Can we get another angle of that just to see how airborne Hammond got? That's incredible. Here it is again, one of the moments of the season. Hammond's had his fair share of them in the past. And how did he not hit the wall on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club? And now he's had a moment with Tony Baker as well, so he can tick Baker off the list.
Yeah, don't envy race control on that one. It's gonna be interesting to see what they say out of that, because as you pointed out, it was off the track, but then also Hammond does look like from that angle that he squeezes in, you'd have to see both onboards and really look at the exact inputs of putting him in and when compared to where the cars are, to see how much of an overlap he got before going off the track, or whether he got the overlap because he went off track, because I think that would make a big difference to the call. Yeah,
that's definitely the case. If he managed to get up before he had to go off track, then he sort of there, like, trying to lose his space. But yeah, if he went off track to get the thing done, that's a bit of a no-no.
Yeah, and in either case, Mikey Hammond doesn't have to yield, doesn't have to move over. I think even when they made contact, I think there was just about still a car's space to the inside, but it's one of those things of being technically in the rules.
Oh, more contact. This time Baker's gone round and left Nick Wood with nowhere to go. Oh, it's all falling apart for Baker with 3 minutes to go.
Is that tyres starting to give way a little bit on the rear?
Well, you should have got fresh tyres at the stop.
Oh, true. Tony Baker, after a really strong race, a lot of battling, comes unstuck there, loses himself a couple of positions. So let's just go over that battle for the final podium and where they're at now. We've got Steven Varga clearly winning that battle, 3.5 seconds ahead of Nick Wood. Then you've got Tony Baker, then Tim Nicole, then Ryan Tagle and Nick Fodiadis. So a few of the cars that we thought were going to be in the battle, Stefan Lawrence, Mikey Hammond coming unstuck, and Steven Varga coming out ahead despite being sent off track a couple of times whilst in battle with Hammond, and Nick Wood going to be really strong in 4th place, assuming they avoid making a similar mistake to the one that Tony Baker just made. On screen now is Tim Nicole, as you can see in the bottom left. Haven't seen him battling too much. Seems to have had a relatively clean, I'm not going to say lonely race. I think he's seen cars the entirety race, but I don't remember being in too much wheel-to-wheel contact. So doing a good, just safe job there, up 5 positions, which is the 3rd most out of anybody on track, only bettered by Nick Fodiadis and Stefan Lawrence, who were in 8th and 9th respectively, after having started in 15th and 16th right at the back of the field.
One minute and 22 seconds to go. So next time by the line for Greg Favell, the last lap flag, the white flag will fly.
And I think an interesting fact for you, Zach, I believe Lédenon's Barney is here, because there's 2 Barneys here, and I don't think there's a Barney at Lédenon.
Yeah, okay, copy that. Yeah, that'd be typical of iRacing. You know, I'm a firm believer in doing the simple things well. To make the big things look better, and not having Barney in position is just rubbish. That I've said it before.
Because I couldn't find anyone in the start line stand or the finish line stand, which is basically the same stand. But there is a marshal just before turn 1, but he doesn't wave the flag like Barney does when the green flag goes. So he's not our official Barney. He's just a marshal.
Copy that. Brooksy down the inside of Fodiadis to go into 10th, and Fodiadis to relegated to 11th in the closing stages of the race here. Favell gets the white flag. So 1 lap from home in Aragón. Yeah, no, we'll just call it that Barney's knocked off early to go get ready to get on the punt tomorrow at the Melbourne Cup. Down the inside, Baker loses out. And surprisingly, Tim Nichols last gone by.
That's a bit of a slipstream. Also, the bit of damage that Tony's got where we're helping his straight line speed.
Not at all. In the end, Will Buchanan's parked up for the night. He's done. Travis Hunt as well. So 2 retirements here. David Christensen's going to finish a lap down. Everybody else will finish on the lead lap. 1 lap to go.
Baker's back in the lane.
Okay. Yeah, Baker's back in. Yeah, that's
with only 1 lap to go, unless he's got a meatball.
Yeah. Well, that's right. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So this is Greg Brooks putting the pressure on Chris Stark, and these two have been doing battle for a few laps now. We saw Brooks get ahead of Stark at one point. Stark's reclaiming that position and holding on ever since. Can he hold on for a few more corners? Oh,
jeez.
no.
Starkey's tripped up. Thank
Oh,
you.
it's tripped
Oh, no,
again.
he's gone now this time. It's drift work for Starkey, and it's gone! Nick Fodiatis has been caught up in all that. They've come together. It's a tangle. Fodiatis will let Stark back on by, but both of them will be limping to the line. Get your hands out, ladies and gentlemen, however, and smash them together for Greg Favell. Another clinical, dominant performance in Spain, and a 5-second victory in round 7 of Player 1 Sim Gear Super 2. Timmy Harris charged well to second. Third will go to Stephen Varga, despite plenty of drama. And, of course, Nick Wood, Tim Nicol making up the top.
So Stark and Fodiatis doing a battle to the line.
I think Nick's let him through.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. Good sporting call from Fodiatis there. I think Favell's doing some celebration with donuts. There we go.
And rightly so. He can celebrate all he likes because that was an immensely impressive performance from him. Took off from the start, got it locked up into turn 1, got back by Tony Baker before the end of lap 1, and then just took off. Took Tim Harris with him to a point. They left everybody else in their wake to fight for the minors, and to that point it was 16 seconds between Favell and Varga, who finished third, but not without his fair share of moments and drama. Of course, Nick Wood prepped through. In fact, really was the quiet achiever. He was the beneficiary of some of the other garbage going on around him, and he cleaned up the pieces. Come through for fourth, Tim Nichols. Fifth, Ryan Tegel, Stephen Lawrence, Chris Stark, Greg Brooks, and Nick Fodiatis, the top 10. Hammond dropped down to 11th. I'm not too sure what that's all about. And of course,
I think he pitted again after his little wobble.
Oh, gotcha. Although I've only got one pit stop showing on my screen there, so you've obviously seen something we haven't.
I thought he did.
Mark Horton, Tony Baker, Christensen was the retirement in the end there, and so too Will Buchanan and Travis Hunt. Actually, no, my apologies. David Christensen did get to the line. He did limp at home. So it was Will Buchanan and Travis Hunt that were the retirements in Spa. Great racing as per usual. We've got a few of the guys standing on by to have a chat to us here, including Brendan Griffiths, Ryan Teggles in here as well. There were a couple more, but they've disappeared. So hopefully the boys will come back and have a chat to us shortly. Starkey, it's a top 10 finish. It's 8th, it's 4 places gained. But it was a rather frustrating last lap, no doubt.
Oh man, I'm sweating. That was actually good racing with Greg there and a couple of the boys. That last lap, I just lit up the rears coming out of that turn and fired me across the grass, and then I think I might have got in Nick's way. He was trying to avoid me and he got me, but no, happens. Nothing you can do about it. Unfortunate to Greg and Nick both running out of fuel. That's just unlucky.
Yeah, indeed, and unlucky for you as well with some tyre issues. But that fight with Greg Brooks was terrific. In fact, really, as far as the category is concerned, that was a marvellous advertisement to the rest of the club to say, look, if you haven't already bought Aragón, do so.
Yeah, it's a great track. Greg was pushing me down the back straight a couple of times. I thought he'd try to get me, but I think he was going to do me the last lap, and then I had that issue with I fired off, so he got me anyway, and then they both ran out of fuel. Just, bad luck. It was great racing with them.
Indeed it was, and of course, well done to you to finish in 8th place there, mate. A fan of this outer circuit, not having to deal with the dog leg on the back straight and just go open slather full throttle?
It's a mix. Like the technical section, you set the car up for the technical section, you're a little bit slow down the back straight, so you've got to make a sacrifice somewhere. So I sacrificed a little bit of the technical to get some straight line speed.
Fair enough.
And pit entry. Practice pit entry. I think that caught a few boys out tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just reminding everybody of where we're at and where we've come from and where we're going to, of course, the next few rounds of the Super 2 series will take us to the checkered flag for the season. And you couldn't get 3 different racetracks if you asked for it, Starkey. I mean, Sandown and Bathurst, we know, we love. Chicago next week, we all marvelled in the brilliance of Shane Van Gisbergen there earlier in the year, but it'll be interesting to see what it dishes up for you guys.
I think there'll be a few thin supercars by the end of that.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be a bit compact and shed some weight.
Oh, yeah. I think there'll be a few bruised and battered cars, to say the very least.
I've already got a setup.
Grinding up against the walls.
I've already got a setup for it.
Very good, boys. And, of course, then, I mean, if anyone's used tonight as a drop round, next week could be critical for them. Sandown, we know it, we love it, but it's fraught with danger because there are a couple of points where you can come properly unstuck. And then, of course, Bathurst, we wind it up to 45 minutes and we go open slither there.
Yeah, it's disappointing there's low numbers tonight. New track. I don't think a lot of people have got it. It's technical track. It's unfortunate. I think people use this one that they don't have as their drop round. Most people have Chicago, Sandown, and Mount Panorama. Mount Panorama's my bogey track, so we'll see how we go.
Well, and the other unknown there too, Starkey, is just how many people come out from under the woodwork for it. It could be somewhat of a wild card round.
Yeah, no doubt there'll be a few people jumping in for that last round, hopefully. I hope I'm off. 27th, have to check my roster.
All right. Keep us posted on that, mate. Nice to hear from you. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Zach, and thanks to the club for putting all this stuff on.
Yeah, no, very well done as per usual. Ryan Tegel in the thick of it, not without a couple of hairy moments, sketchy moments along the way, mate, but well done. Just a couple of positions further up the road from Starkey, brought it home in P6.
Yeah, hairy is an understatement. I think I'm a ball of hair at this point, based on my efforts at pit entry, and I have to issue an apology to whoever it was I took out. I got very loose. I hit a sausage curb at one before the end and tried to dart into the pit to try and get some new tyres, and I just collected him. So sorry for that one. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I mean, I qualified 4th, but that's the highest I've qualified in this series so far, in any V8 race actually so far. So I was pretty happy with that. And yeah, I was fighting with the front runners for a while, but I just kept getting just sort of pushed out wide each second turn, and then I'd lose a spot, get wide for the next one, lose another spot. So yeah, it was a very tight race.
It's interesting though, because you've essentially collected all the hair around the circuit to give yourself that ball that everybody else has torn out over the last 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's about it. Right. Yeah, so I'm starting to get I've gotten bald, it seems, and I've just put all the hair on my moustache. So as you can see on my car there, I've got the moustache. So that's what I've put it. Maybe I should get rid of it, otherwise it's too hairy.
Well, I was going to say, I hope you've I get the feeling that I know what the Mo is for. It is November, of course. Race at Sox Nation tomorrow, and with the Melbourne Cup, the other event synonymous with November, and of course Remembrance Day this coming Saturday too. But November, of course, a great charitable cause. Make sure you click the link up on either the broadcast page or the Discord, mate, and surely the club will get around you. As far as Aragon's concerned, I mean, yeah, okay. Big moment there was David Christensen that went along for the ride with you, unfortunately. But other than that, do you like the circuit? Did you enjoy the race?
Yeah, this circuit is extremely good. Like Zaki was saying, I think it's because people just don't own it. It'll use it as a drop round. But the racing is extremely tight. You can go door to door. It's tight and twisty, but then you got that massive straight that feels like I'm racing Formula V's again with the draft. So it's got something for everyone. It's extremely it's like not just it's challenging in that it's tricky. There's technical spots, but it's not so hard that you can't race it. It's really actually probably my favourite track of the season so far.
All right, and your thoughts on Chicago, because that's where we head to next week?
Unfortunately, that's going to be my drop round. I won't be here for that, so okay. It's a bit disappointing. I was looking forward, because then I could just say I can blame the walls as to why I was performing so badly. Not all this runoff room that I've got in this track, and I end up still crashing. So that would have been nice to be able to blame something else. But oh well, I'll be back in a fortnight.
Indeed, mate. Very nicely done. And of course, what else are we going to see you racing in throughout the course of the week? Or is it just the Super 2 that you're focusing on at the moment?
Yeah, just the Super 2s for me at the moment. I can only commit one day a week generally to the to sim racing. So I try my best and challenge myself at this one, and I'm slowly getting better, I think. I don't know. It's getting there. It's a challenge is what it is.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Good to catch up with you as per usual. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
100%. See you then, Zach.
Timmy Harris and Stephen Vargas standing on by as well. Let's go to Timmy first. You won't have any semblance of an idea of the excitement and the drama and the chaos and the carnage that is going on behind you, because that was a rather clinical and impressive and clean and I'm going to assume lonely run to second, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I think I was just trying to hang on to Greg as long as I could, but that wasn't really an option. So, yeah, I was watching my relatives, I think, perhaps, and the RC messages pop up on the top of the screen. It seemed like there was a bit going on back there, but yeah, what a track for a day. It's definitely an entertaining track. It's a tricky one to get your head around, these old dinosaurs. So yeah, props to Greg and his team for obviously a good setup and good execution.
And we should say as well, mate, congratulations. We were critical a couple of weeks ago about how bad the car looked. At least you've given it some effort and attention to detail this week to buy it.
Yeah, look, I was really looking for those 11 secret anti-roll bar and brake bias adjustment special recipe, and it's working because I've sort of been going shock around good round, but I've had two goods in a row, so I'll take that. And yeah, thanks for the drive-through.
It was
Actually,
wild down the back, Tim. It was wild.
That will be a few. There will be a few people in pit lane tonight. Not appreciative of your comment there about drive-throughs because they picked one up themselves, or a stop and hold at least. But no, very nicely done from you. And a tip of the hat to SVG there as well. Hey, it's three initials. It fills the box. It fits the criteria, so I'm all for it. Well done. MotorLand Aragón, fan or not?
Yeah, it's great. I don't think I've done any races here before, so it's definitely a learning curve. Good to learn the track and sort of knuckle down and yeah, learn some setup. And thanks to Tony for all his help on that too. Yeah, and learn the track because it's a good track. I think sort of these MotoGP circuits, like we've got Jerez on the server now, and I believe we've got Portimao coming, which I'm going to call a MotoGP track, not a Formula One track.
Yes.
And I think they're cool tracks, and you know, it's one of those bucket list joints that you want to go to and watch a MotoGP race at, I think. So.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Hey, Chicago next week. We're excited about that, but it's fraught with danger. It is a concrete canyon.
It's just a track, isn't it? Seem to have some fun.
If you say so. And hopefully, from your standpoint, no doubt, you're happy with the results you're whacking up at the moment. It's a bit hard to go with Greg Favell. He's in a different postcode, but hopefully a few more numbers, a few more competitors, and someone to play with next week on the racetrack.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I'm purely thinking from an entertainment standpoint. But okay. I'll pay that. Well done. Banksy, if you got anything you want to ask the man that finished second tonight while he's here.
How was it out there by yourself? Because we saw almost the rest of the entire rest of the pack having battles the whole way through. Were you aware of any of that going on, or was it just really quiet where you were?
It was pretty quiet, which is good. I think in these sort of cars, like, you know, you're almost racing yourself anyway. Yeah, the incidents for everyone else probably show that. If everyone had a clean race, I probably could have been where I was, because there was, I think, just as many guys in the top 10 that were as fast on lap speed as me. So yeah, qualifying, get a good one in, and run away and avoid the carnage if you can.
There seems to be a strategy that I think everybody else should try and use. But then if everybody uses it, it won't work because you'll all be together on track again. So maybe you should have kept that one to yourself.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of races coming up and a couple of boys will be quick at those tracks, I reckon. So let's see what happens. Should be fun.
Should be fun indeed. All right, very nicely done. Anything else from you, Banksy?
I actually got a few questions for Varga.
We'll get to Stephen. Yep, absolutely. Hey, Timmy, thanks, mate. We'll let you go.
Merry Christmas, mate.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Very nicely done. All the best. Have a good night. Let's go to Stephen Varga, and then we'll bounce up to Greg Brooks as well, who's just joined us in the booth here. Stephen, well done. Third place, but you had to work bloody hard for it.
Yeah, it was a good race. There was a 5-second penalty over my head, but I'm going to go to race control. I know a bit of a question about that. I don't know where I could have gone at that point in time. I was following a team member, and he had a rub with someone else, and I can't disappear. So we'll see what happens there.
The thing I was going to ask you too, mate, was okay. The 5-second penalty. Let's push that to one side. Because if they uphold it, they will relegate you to 4th place.
Yep.
So, I mean, no harm, no foul there. It's 1 place. It's not detrimental. But if...
it is to my ego.
Well, yeah, that's true too. But if they do... if they do relinquish it, then obviously we'll hold on to the podium there. What about the hard-fought nature of that? Because, I mean, you had Travis Hunt, you had... I think at one point there you had Tony Baker, you had Mikey Hammond, you had Ryan Tegel, Tim Nicol, and then at the end Nick Wood as well. I mean, you got out there on the racetrack and fought just about everybody, did or not?
I had a couple of races in there. Yeah. Look, the only person I was really concentrating on was Mike Hammond. He was there or thereabouts. The other guys, they were just all of a sudden, one after the other, were just going past me. So, but no, it was a good race. I was happy with it in the end, and yeah, too bad it wasn't a tiny bit cleaner.
Yeah, well, that's very true too. All right, Banksy, the floor is yours.
I was going to say, there were, I think, 2 or 3 incidents with Mikey Hammond. How did you feel about them? Do you feel like they were pretty much all fairly
look, the first one
fair, or?
First one I thought was harsh, but then I went and had a look, and that's fair enough. He was there. I thought I was closer to the edge of the track than I was. I don't know any of the others. I wasn't too keen to call the I think it was 3 wide at the hairpin at the final corner, because I thought, well, I might get a penalty for that too.
So just FYI though. So you're at the moment looking at the sheet. It looks like they may have adjusted the points because the penalties, because you don't have a 5-second penalty officially on the sheet at the moment. You got a safety point penalty and a racing incident next to your name.
Thank you. Well, I'll go question that just in case, but sounds good. Hopefully they didn't just miss that and accidentally forget to put it in.
I don't think Josh is usually pretty good on top of it.
Beautiful. I'm happy. No, it was a good race. Too bad Mr. Hammond got caught up with someone and got turned, because we're having a good little battle toward the end, but it is what it is. Till next week.
And your thoughts on that as well, Stephen? I mean, it is Chicago. I think we might have been there once or twice before, but still, critical point of the championship and a challenging circuit to master.
There's a lot of walls. I'm not a fan, but it is what it is. We'll just go and do our best and do whatever happens.
Anything else from you, Banksy, before we let Stephen go?
And go enjoy the rest of his night.
All right, very nicely done, Stephen. Hey, well done, mate. Congratulations. Thanks for keeping us entertained.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And on the subject of entertainment, Greg Brooks, let's go to you. Because that was unfortunate. As Starkey said to us there earlier, you were a little bit short for juice there towards the end. But a great contest, a great scrap between you and Starkey. Sure, you lost 2 spots on where you started, but you still brought it home in the top 10 on a night where a few drivers out there got caught up in drama.
Yeah, it was a bit of a blunder of a start for me. I accidentally jumped the start, got a little too excited, and ended up with a drive-through penalty. But once I got rid of that penalty and just moved on, I was moving at quite a good pace and really consistent for a while. So I was catching guys at about a second a lap for a good amount of time, and then everyone started to fall away. So I kind of got a bit of opportunities, get some good passes on, and move up. And yeah, catching up with Starkey was really good.
That was a really good scrap and a great circuit on a great layout, a great configuration choice to really showcase what happens when these cars are close together, when the speed is high, the slipstreaming and the tailgating advantages are there, and there are plenty of them.
Yeah, well, it was. I was actually practicing with Starkey probably about 10 minutes before the session, and we were just talking about the draft And I figured, well, I'm behind him. We need to catch Stefan, so I thought just give him a bit of a push, and it'll help with my fuel saving to a point.
Talk to me about the next 3 rounds and what you're hoping to achieve there, mate.
Oh, just maximum points, really. Chicago is going to be interesting. I'm not a huge fan of walls being too close to my car, so we'll see how that one goes. But Sandown, pretty excited for, and then Bathurst, yeah, really can't wait for that one. It's going to be really great racing, I reckon.
All right, mate. Very nicely done, Banksy. Anything you want to ask Brooksy?
I think so. Just good luck with the rest of your racing for this week. Are you racing anything else this week?
No, I was going to be doing GT3s, but it's too much of a mind meld going from V8 supercars back to GT3s. So I thought, yeah, I'll just stick with the supercars. It's a lot more fun.
Yep, good call, good call. We'll see you next week then.
No worries. Thanks, Liam. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Brooksy. Well done, mate. Hey, well, let's bring in Nick Fodiatis at this point in time. Just in the nick of time, if you'll pardon the pun, because we're about to go to a break. Nick, welcome. Well done. There was a moment there captured by your good friend Adam Lavis a few moments ago that had the position 1 next to your name, just for the career CV for the portfolio, mate. So you can thank him for that later. It didn't last long though, unfortunately. But you did salvage a top 10 finish, not without a little bit of drama on the way home.
Oh, thanks, Zach. Look, the Bailey Ladders car, from my perspective, was good. Me and this car around this track, probably not the best combo, but anyway, just have to get on with it. And yeah, look, as you know, if I haven't got the pace, I'm just going to stay out there and just do as many laps as I can on the tank. So I think, yeah, just before my pit stop, I noticed there was a numeral number 1 next to my car, next to my name. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'll take it. As for the end of the race, yeah, I was short by literally half a litre, so it did start coughing down the back straight. So, and yeah, Mikey gave me my teammate Mikey Hammond gave me a push across the line there because he knew he had a penalty as well. And then post the flag, I got 18 incident points. I don't know why or how, but I didn't get DQ'd, so I'm pretty happy with the top 10.
Pretty happy with the top 10. You should be as well. And for the most part, I mean, without that incident on the last lap, you steered well clear of all the other garbage and drama happening around you.
Well, as you know, Zach, I don't particularly like car-to-car contact. Never have, never will. Especially in this, because it just, unfortunately, with the latency and all that, you just got to give people a wide berth. Unlike my illustrious teammate Mikey Hammond, who likes to get in there and rub panels. And yeah, I don't like it, and I was trying to keep my car clean because, I mean, all the incident points I had up to that point were on me, so...
And on that subject, I have to ask you about your teammate, David Christensen. Geez, he was bitterly unlucky tonight.
Mate, what a pit lane entry that was, eh?
That's one for the highlight reel. Maybe
yeah, minded his own business, and he's just this guy's just decided to, I'm going in, so... I look at it's an awareness thing. It's a look at your relative screen, look in your mirrors kind of thing. That you practice it on the road, you practice it in here. You look in your mirrors before you jump in the pits, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, look, I came out behind Dave yet again anyway, but he was a lap down by the stage.
That's very true. Unfortunately, 2 pit stops in there will crucify you in these sorts of races, no doubt about that. We know you love your American circuits. What about the Chicago street circuit, please?
Bring it on. Yeah. Bring it on. I love the street circuits.
And that Chicago one's a little bit of an unknown entity. We haven't visited it all that frequently.
No, but you should have seen the iRacing servers light up after Shane's win around there. Everybody was hosting a server around there and all sorts of cars. So I would say if we're all prepared for it, we've all done a lot of laps around there. The bumps in the brake zones are what's going to separate the men from the boys, and we're going to get some either big lockups or passes. and then through the section that backs onto itself, if someone goes off there, they're going to bounce back onto the track in front of everybody. So it's going to be an interesting night.
Indeed it is. Looking forward to it immensely, and of course, we're going to let you go in a moment because we've got a GT3 standing by, and we've got the AM split first up, the Pro split second up, and of course the circuit to Lédenon is an unknown entity, so we're looking forward to having a look at that in just a few moments' time. But yeah, bring it on indeed. A night that promises to keep race control on its toes, just like tonight, although tonight was maybe a little bit unexpected. What have we got to do to encourage people to download Aragón and come and join in the fun here, Nick?
I don't know. I was sitting on the fence with it. I was actually contemplating jumping in and helping you guys out. But it's just long corners. I think it's suited to GT cars and open wheelers. I just don't think the V8s are the best around here. But yeah, I don't know. You don't know until you try it, and it's actually not a bad circuit overall. And there's a couple different layouts. I just think being an unknown thing, people aren't going to turn up for it, unfortunately. And there's not much. The only real thing that we see over here in this country are MotoGP around here.
Yeah, that's a fair point too. All right, mate. Very nicely done. Thank you. 3 weeks to go. Let's hook in.
Yeah, exactly. Just quickly, did you see the Verstappen? Oh, sorry, not Verstappen. Perez and Alonso finish.
Oh, extraordinary.
Have a good night, guys.
Good on you, mate. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Here's the updated championship standings now with that round done and dusted. 319 plays 262 for Timmy Harris. So Greg Favell continues to lead the way. Stephen Varga maintains third. On 227, 206 for Michael Hammond. Jaden Green wasn't on the grid tonight, 193. Andrew Dutch, 182. Tim Nicol, 168. Stephen Lawrence, 162. Dave Oliver, 158. And Tony Baker, 150. So about half and half drivers that turned up tonight and those that didn't within that top 10. But it just goes to show you, Liam Banks, for those that did turn up tonight, the merit, the reward is there in the sense of banking championship points, because as we know, particularly in a series with numbers fluctuating as they have been, you don't want to be relying on 2-0 drop rounds and then have an absolute shocker, because then essentially you're relying on 7 good results to dictate where you're going to finish in the championship.
I mean, exactly. Look, the championship's 10 races long. That's quite long. That's quite a few races. Okay, it's not the 20 that you get in 25 that you get in F1 championship, but a lot of F1 championships were only 16 for years, 16 to 18, right? So you got over half an F1 championship. If you take out one race deliberately, you just decide you're going to miss it where you don't need to, you then only got one race that's going to get dropped. Across 9 races, you're going to have at least 2 bad races. Most people are going to have at least 2 races there where they don't maximize their results. So you really need those 2 drop rounds. You need them if you want to be competitive. If you really want to chase and go for the top spots in the series, and you're deliberately missing a race, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle.
Indeed you are. All right, mate. Thank you very much for that. So we're going to take a quick break here on the platforms of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. Pictures coming in from the Lédenon circuit in France in just a few moments. We'll be back with you for the start of race 1 of Waste Options GT3. That was Player 1 Sim Gear Super 2. GT3 AM, race 1 of round 7 on the other side, followed by the main course, which will be race 2 for GT3 Pro. Don't go away. Nice to have you covered wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world, across the websites of all the platforms, I should say. The Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, of course, they being Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Welcome to the newest circuit on the server, the circuit de Lédenon in France, and our coverage of Waste Options GT3. We're going to start with the AM split tonight. Only 15 or 16 of these guys lining up here for race 1 of round 7. We'll then switch over and bring you the pro split for race 2, and that has become standard programming procedure for normal programming on a sprint night on the platforms of the GSRC this season. Track and weather conditions, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The ambient is hovering on 22 degrees, the track temperature 24. This is a 3.08 kilometre circuit, so it's a tight, technical, challenging one. And it will keep us on our toes tonight. It will throw the cat amongst the pigeons, if that we're certain. What will be interesting to see is what it's like with regards to overtaking opportunities and what it throws up in terms of racing, because that's all what we're all concerned about going into this venture tonight. It's a step into the unknown. It's a new chapter because it is a new venue, and it always evens the playing field. Jermaine Tacklew, 234, plays Paul Wood, 223, Gary Cousins, 214, Bradley Curtin on 200, and 198 for Greg Heaney, the top 5s. Sean Benici is 6th on 197. Then Frencone, Sharp, Baldwin, and Schultz make up the top 10. Let's have a look at the grid. It's a Porsche front row. It's Tacklew and Cousins. It's the Mercedes of Dale Sharp on the inside of the second row with Paul Wood on the outside. Then Greg Heaney and Adam Chiplin, James Frencone and William Yarwood. William on the inside, Frencone on the outside, sharing row 4. Bradley Curtin, Callum Heinrich, Warren Ibert, then Janesh Ragwani and Joe Baldwin, Christian Tosh and Braden O'Loughlin making up the field here. Set for a start. 21 minutes first up. Sprint race number 1 of the night. And a venture into the unknown, a new circuit that we're all going to learn on the Hop Skipper March here from Circuit de Lédenon, round 7 of Waste Options GT3. Let's go. Let's get to work. This is the unknown entity of the season. Fraught with danger for so many reasons. How many times do you see the hot shots of the field trip up on a new venue? And especially when it's a sprint night. That's a great start from Adam Chiplin. In 6th place there in the early stages. Greg Heaney is 5th. Side by side we go 4th and 3rd at the moment. Paul Wood and Dale Sharp arguing over the same piece of real estate. And Wood gets through. Jermaine Tacklew holding the lead at the moment. Sharp fighting back on the inside of Woodsy. We're expecting some great racing here in the GT3 and split tonight. Already seeing ample evidence of it on the opening lap. Season dominated by Ferrari and Porsche thus far in this server, and Porsche with the upper hand so far tonight, Liam.
So surely this track is going to suit the Porsches, and I tell you what, Dale Sharp's done a fantastic job to get that Mercedes so high, hasn't he? It's always been described as it's fairly sluggish, and I can't imagine a track like Circuit de Lédenon is going to suit the Mercedes at all. So to have it in the podium position right now is a fabulous effort, and I'm not surprised to see 2 of the 6 Porsches in this field right at the very front.
I'm pretty sure that last corner is going to be a key to this track. It's a very tight, hairpiny corner, straight into a very steep uphill. So the exit will be crucial to lap time there.
Yeah,
1 minute 24.605, boys. Jermaine Tacklew off the start, so the times are going to be very quick here. Not dissimilar in terms of track length to that of Winton, so keep that in mind.
It is an interesting layout. It's almost like a compressed, more wiggly Bahrain with the sort of long back straight at the bottom, and then it sort of comes up on either side, or even even it's got aspects of Barcelona to it, I would say, but evidently slower in that final sector with a few more twists in there. But none of those corners are upsetting Dale Sharp at the moment. He continues to run in 3rd. Got a message from race control for a redress, coach with O'Loughlin. So there must be the contact between the two of them on the first lap, and now we're watching a replay. Oh, he tried to pull it up, didn't he? Just couldn't quite get it done. And then he sits, waits for the car, and to go. Yeah, that's really nice sportsmanship. Exactly what we want to see at the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club. Right at the front of the field, Jermaine Tapalou's taking off. He's 1.7, 1.8 seconds ahead of Gary Cousins, and I'm watching the interval, and I can watch it grow in real time at the moment, such as his pace advantage. Gary Cousins is going to have to find some speed or let someone a bit faster through, perhaps Sharp or Wood if they've got some pace in hand. Else this race is going to be over before too long, and that's Adam Chiplin finding the wall, the updated gravel physics, not burying that car enough and stopping it from hitting the wall, but hopefully it scrubbed off a bunch of speed and it won't have too much damage. Well, we're about to find out exactly how much speed he had. So this is the fast left-hander.
This is the first incident. There's two incidents.
Oh,
yeah.
geez. Loses the rear end.
So that one would have just got his tyres on. Oh, you got the broken steering. No, you got broken steering from that contact, so you can't turn.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It was a fair hit on the front left of the car. Lap 3. And Jermaine Takaloo, Gary Cousins, Dale Sharp, forward, Greg Heaney and William Yard with the top 6 at the moment. 1 minute 19.235. So if we're going on those numbers, from 20 laps, that's going to give you 3 laps every 4 minutes. So there's 16 laps in this opening race if I've done my numbers right. Fastest lap of the race thus far, 1 minute 19.020. Jermaine Takaloo ahead of Gary Cousins, Dale Sharp, forward, Greg Heaney, William Yarwood, James Frencone and Joe Bork in the top 8. Bradley Curtin and Callum Heinrich make up the top 10. Adam Chiplin already a lap down here after having to come down into the pit lane. Somewhat frustrating for him.
And this pack that we're watching from Greg Heaney's point of view, he's at the back of this battle. Pack 4 cars in it, 5th up to 2nd. So Greg Heaney forward ahead of him, then Dale Sharp in the Mercedes and Gary Cousins in the Porsche. The good news for these is that they're playing it quite sensible. You look at them, nobody's showing the nose, nobody's going for an ambitious manoeuvre and slowing the whole pack down, and they are pulling away from William Yarwood, and they've sort of pinned the gap to Jermaine Takaloo as well. It's at 1.8. I thought it was. Whoa, Greg Heaney saves one there. That's that's a bit too much rear slide for ultimate pace there. But the good news is, yeah, they are pulling away from William Yarwood, James McCone and Joe Baldwin, so if they can continue this up for another 5-7 minutes, that should see them safe, and they can then go hammer and tongs and fight it out for second, third, fourth.
I think this could get a bit tricky for some of the Porsches in the longer race. There's a lot of, especially that turn 1, 2, 3 complex there, where you got to slow down the brakes. It could catch a few Porsches out with the way the rear end is and those things. So it'll be interesting to see when we get to the pro split.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout out. We'll be interested to see what happens in the pro split, and that's a good plug for what's coming up after this race, the feature race of the pro split. I think this has been a really good change to the GT3 broadcasting, that ability to show you the amateur split followed by the pro split, where we do have a sprint weekend. Means we can get the amateurs on screen a little bit more and not sacrifice too much of pro championship, which is where we see some of the best in Australia do battle. So really glad that we can bring this to you, and that race should be fantastic. It'll be interesting to see what the difference in lap times is, given these guys are running 1 minute 19s. I expect the pros to be down to the 118s, perhaps the 117s if your name begins with an M and rhymes with Batty Trench.
Gotcha. Well played. Oh boy. And on the subject of things that rhyme with that name, a big thanks to the boys that came off the bench for me over the last 2 Thursday nights. I'm back on Thursday night with Daniel Correa staff for the next 4 weeks. Take you through to the checkered flag on season 2023, and particularly looking forward to it. Obviously, a couple of assignments have kept me busy over the last few weeks, but back to sleepy old Ipswich on Wednesday, winding the clock back 112 years along the way, and with the Thursday night as well as Monday night for the balance of the season. Gary Cousins in second place at the moment. 1.58 the margin from Tackle to Cousins, but Cousins has just punched out ever so gingerly, ever so gradually. The fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 18.959. Cousins ahead of Sharp, and then Paul Wood. Heaney, Yarwood. Only one real legitimate battle beyond Dale Sharp and Paul Wood on the racetrack, and that is the one between Ragwani and Ibert on lap 6. 8 minutes gone. Circuit to Lédenon. First time we've seen it. Looking forward to seeing what it brings to the table in future visits here. It might not be the best circuit for GT3 racing. It might be like Aragón. It might not attract the big numbers. But it's nice to have another venue to play with.
It looks like it has like potential. Like there's definitely some undulation and very tricky corners. So it's just a matter of finding which cars suit this layout and what produces a good racing here.
I bet Formula V's, because Formula V's can race on any track.
Yeah, I think it might. Well, the corners are fairly wide open, so it might be right. Because the only thing is, you give it too tight a track, you start to lose the slipstream battles a little bit.
That is true. That is true. Well, I'll just have to put it on every single championship for next season, and then we'll find out which ones suit it and which ones don't. In the meantime, we don't have to worry about, we don't have to wonder about how well GT3 suit it, because James Francone and Baldwin are showing us that right now. Baldwin in the Bailey Ladders entry that you're seeing, poking and prodding the back of James Francone's rather cool Ferrari. He's changed that livery throughout the season. It used to be a more traditional Ferrari livery. Now it's got all sorts of colours on it. Very, very pretty. And he's gone, I thought he'd gone wide there, but I didn't realise that was okay. So actually Baldwin, you saw, tried to take the timeline and get a better exit. It's just not worked for him. Francone able to carry a lot of speed through there, and has pulled away from Baldwin a little bit. Baldwin actually now has got Curtin for company. So this could become a free battle very soon. Baldwin's gone, what? He's going to want to hold that.
Whoa! Hairy moment, but they got away with it.
It just about stays ahead of Curtin, but that has that freeway battle has almost manifested itself with Baldwin coming back towards Curtin. Now two of them just need to make their way forward by about half a second to bring Francone back into the battle.
Yeah, James is going wide.
Yep. So everybody's still getting to grips with this circuit. It's, you know, the only sort of expertise or insight I can draw from that for you, ladies and gentlemen, or the evaluation. Lap 8 of 16 here. Oh, thank you, Adam. I must have had that spot on. Brilliant. Tackle, Cousins, Sharp, Wood, Heaney, the top 5 Yarwood, Francone, Baldwin, Curtin, the battle that we're watching here. And Baldwin out of the outside. Baldwin to the outside. Oh, geez. Have a look at this. Joe down the inside. Got him. Very nicely done. Baldwin and Francone. Baldwin down to the left-hander. Got it done. Covered him off. Up across the start strike again. And I tell you what, you've got to be careful with your Francone. Hanging there tough on the outside. You're running out of room. There's a concrete wall right to your right-hand side. And down the inside, taking full advantage of that was Bradley Curtin. Not waiting for a second invitation. Baldwin, Curtin, Francone. Dishing out the goods here in France.
Look at how much Francone was able to gain under the brakes into that corner on Curtin. That Mercedes in Curtin's hands, just not with the performance that Francone had into that corner. But boy, wasn't he brave into that first corner. Absolutely, just hung it on the inside, and Francone eventually had to see the position, but Curtin managed to keep it on track and making a very nice, very clean overtake. And now he's just got Baldwin to pass to get to the front of this pack. And I do hope this doesn't end in tears, because these three are putting on an absolute masterclass, and they'll be raving about this race if the three of them keep it on track and don't make contact with each other. And it's been all good so far. The standard of racing has been fantastic.
Baldwin holds on again. Fast flowing downhill section of the circuit. And that's the other thing as well. Downhill, carrying a little bit more speed. Got to be mindful. Got to be mindful about getting on the brakes. You're not going too deep. Back along the start finish strike once more. 12 minutes gone. We're under lap 10. Tacklew punches out the fastest number of the night. 1 minute 18.925.
He has grown the gap to Cousins a little bit. It's up to 3 seconds, which with 6 laps to go is pretty safe. That's half a second a lap that Cousins would need to make to catch this back attack a little. But it's saying that it is still only 1 or 2 mistakes, and Cousins will be right with him. In terms of ultimate lap time, they're very, very close. The only 2 drivers have got to the 1 minute 18s in the entirety of this race. So whoever can put out more consistent laps can win the race. If Cousins can get a few consistent 1 minute 90, low 1 minute 19s together, it might be enough to put pressure on Takalo and turn it into an on-track battle for this race that is over. Dale Sharp also not far detached, only 1.4 seconds behind Cousins, with Paul Wood within half a second of him. So there's a lot of gaps here that a lot of drivers not quite within wheel-to-wheel racing distance, but it's not going to take much of a change in pace for some of these battles to come live on circuit. The highest up battle is Sharp and Wood. That gap less than 4 times a second right now.
Riding on board with Kurt. The other fascinating element of this is that the Mercedes boxed in between the Ferraris, although they've left Francone behind, and these two fighting for 7th. Callum Heinrich currently sitting in, and rather comfortably so. The invert position as Warren Ibert comes to pit lane, so too Janas Ragwani. Now, hang on, this is a sprint race. What are they doing?
No idea.
They're in pit lane. Have they picked themselves up an incident point penalty, maybe?
Well, it's interesting that it's the 2 of them put together on track.
Or if they come together. Let's have a look. Ragwani. Oh, yep, there it is. And they'll get done for cut through, won't they? Out goes Warren Ibert, out goes Janis Ragwani. Adam Chipman has already been to pit lane, so 3 cars compromised in that fight. Callum Heinrich holding 10th rather comfortably now by 17 seconds. Off goes Bradley Curtin! Off goes Bradley Curtin! And there goes 8th position. Francone goes back through to 8th, and Baldwin has a clean break. And he maintains 7th. There we go.
Just got a little slippy on the rear there, just slid it in.
Both drivers taking quite a wide entry into that corner, looking to come back and pinch the apex at the second part of that corner. And when you're taking it wide like that, it doesn't leave much wiggle room, quite literally, because if you do get a bit of a slide on with the rear end, you're straight into the gravel, and that's what we saw there. Not saying it's the little line, but it's just it's a line that doesn't leave any space on the outside, because you're starting off on the outside, and you just paid the price for that. But didn't lose too much time in the end, just enough to put him behind Francone. So now all we need is Baldwin to make this similar sort of mistake, and we'll have the three of these drivers doing battle yet again.
Indeed he will. And there is Gary Cousins in the meantime, and there's Dale Sharp in behind him, 3rd place. Going along quite nicely. So you got 4 manufacturers in the top 6 here. You got 4 in the race actually, and only 4. You've got 2 Porsches from the top end of town. You've got a Merc in 3rd and a Beamer in 6th, and 2 Ferraris in the middle, 4th and 5th. 4 Ferraris, 3 Porsches, 2 Mercs, and a Bimmer in the top 10. With Baldwin, Francone, Curtin, and Heinrich making up that top 10. And 4 laps to go here. Off goes Christian Koch. In the gravel. That's unlucky. Not the first player, not the first driver to trip up at that corner tonight. I think we've found our trouble spot around this circuit, sadly, and back.
Yeah, we certainly have. That's 2 cars off of that corner in consecutive laps.
It's very much like what I was saying before, where I think he got lost with which part of the track he was. I think he thought that straight was longer.
There is a rubbered in line around that corner, and I do wonder if you do put a wheel or 2 off that line, if the grip dissipates rather quickly, and that's contributed to a couple of those incidents. This is Sharp and Cousins. This is the battle for 2nd place, live battle on track with 3 laps to go, less than half a second between the two of them. Looked like Sharp was falling into the clutches of Wood a few laps ago, but he's really managed to pull it back together and drag himself towards the back of Cousins. And now look at him, he's practically pushing him around the track. Gonna have to boldly go for an overtake, and he's doing it right here, right now. And that is the inside for Dale Sharp. Beautifully done. Gets past Gary Cousins.
Brilliantly done. Brilliantly done from Sharp. Perfectly executed. Now he's wedged a Merc in what would have otherwise been a Porsche 1-2 waiting to happen. Great run, Dale Sharp. And great run, Jermaine Tacklew. He's disappeared 4.5 seconds up the road. Forget about it. Jermaine Tacklew in the box, on track to win this one.
And if he does win this race, that would solidify his grasp at the top of this championship, just past the halfway mark. So this is round 7 of 10. He's got a 9-point lead going into this race over Paul Wood. Paul Wood in 4th place, so he'll get a few handy points over him. And Gary Cousins is in 3rd place in that championship, a further 9 points of drift. Gary Cousins in 3rd place, so Tacklew will take enough of a lead that he can afford to have a somewhat, lower top 10 result, whilst Wood and Cousins finish towards the top, and he'll hold on to that lead.
Jeez, how lucky was Dale Sharp to get away with that one. Ran it very deep, almost too wide. And that's given Gary Cousins the barest of sniffs here. Keep the pressure on in the fight for second. A lap and a half to go. And look at who's latching on as well. Paul Wood's right there, ready to pounce. Should one of these guys trip up, remembering that Callum Heinrich holds the spot for the invert. The top 10 here. And what's going to be very interesting, Banksy, is seeing who's holding sway at the top end of town in GT3 Pro when we get there, because we've already seen how difficult overtaking is going to be here tonight. So strategy is going to be a big part, or a big ingredient of what we see dished up by GT3 Pro rather, very shortly.
Yeah, there is a sprint race that you don't mind finishing towards the back of the top 10. This is a good shout out for that, because as we've seen, it's been very hard for drivers to make clean overtakes. But dare I say, the likes of Denchi will find a way to get it done. But this could be one where if he has put it together in the first sprint race, it is going to be difficult for him to win from 10th in the feature race. Not saying he has won the sprint race, we don't know. We'll have to find out. But he did make a comment earlier on saying that he needs to take a nap after trying to learn this track. So evidently found it pretty difficult to figure out what was going on and really memorize it to the standard that he expects from himself.
That's significantly, substantially higher than most of the paddock. That's perfectly honest. All right, we're on the last lap here. Paul Wood applying the pressure to Gary Cousins. Will it be 3 different manufacturers on the podium? Or will Cousins hold on and have Woodson pushing to the checkered flag? Whatever the case, they're sharing the 4th row of the grid in this invert race coming up if they stay where they are. Dale Sharp, a magnificent performance. Actually slowly but surely taking a little bit of time out of Jermaine Tacklew. It is 3.94 seconds now back to Tacklew, who's coming around the last corner for the final time. The 16th lap done and dusted, and Jermaine Tacklew across the finish line to take a commanding win without the checkered flag being waved. Of course, we've already documented that. Typical Barney having half the night off. Gary Cousins in for 3rd. Great performance. Dale Sharp for 2nd. Paul Wood 4th, Greg Heaney, William Yarwood, then Joe Baldwin. Then we go back to Bradley Curtin, James Francone, and Callum Heinrich. It was said there yesterday when, Saturday when I was watching some of the Speed Series action, and even yesterday when I was watching some of the Postie Bike action in Cessnock, that if you have a quiet race and you're not getting a mention, you're not getting a run, you're not getting talked about, you've had a clean run, and that's usually a good thing.
That should be every driver's dream, is not to get mentioned on the broadcast, and that's pretty much what happened to Tacklew. We didn't really show him at all. We mentioned him a couple of times, but there was nothing to show because he was just staying on the racing line and driving a very, very solid race. Great pace, not absolutely dominating the rest of the pack like we have seen in some other races, just a 3.7 seconds lead at the end, but he grew the lead to that pretty early on, and then just maintained it for the rest of the race. Absolutely professional performance is what I would call it.
In a processional race.
Yep.
Well done, Jermaine. That was terrific. Great win for the Porsche pilot. Great win also for Dale Sharp to get by Gary Cousins in that fight for second in the closing stages. The minor placings cleaned up by Sharp, Cousins, Wood and Heaney. And then Yarwood, a rather lonely run there in sixth place, back to Baldwin, Curtin, Francone. So Curtin got back well clear of Francone there late in the piece. Callum Heinrich, a lonely 10th in the end. Great racing. Quick comment from Joe Baldwin before we head off to the pro split for race 2. Good evening to you, trucker. Not a bad result. What are your impressions of the circuit?
Oh, it's the worst track to get a pretty good result, going from 13th to 7th. That's hard work. We're in the Discord there with Gazza and Woodsy and them guys, and look, that was 17 minutes or however long it was the race, and it was just full concentration the whole time. It's not even hot here, and I'm sweating me kahunis off, so to speak.
The proverbial
hard work.
No, very nicely done. From a racing standpoint, because I know you race a fair few different cars around here in these GSRC circles. Is this a circuit that you'd like to see GT3 on again, or are you happy to part company with it and bring back a smaller, more nimble car, so to speak?
Oh, God, no. No, this track's about suited to the little legend cars, I think. I think it'd be a great car in like the MX-5s, the Skips, the little legend cars, but I think, full-size cars, it's really hard work around here. There's nowhere to pass. You sort of got to... I mean, I was really, really aggressive off the start. Like, given plenty of room, I just went where people weren't. And due to the concertina, I think I picked up 4 spots on lap 1. I just went around the outside of everyone in the I think I got 3 cars in the 1, 2, 3 complex. And, picked another couple off. A couple of guys made mistakes, and it's just where I got my positions. But going wheel to wheel, like I had... I can't think of his name now, finished behind me. He was all over me the whole race, and he was faster than me. Bradley Curtin, he was a lot faster, but he just couldn't do anything because of the nature of the circuit.
All right, mate, very nicely done. We're going to wish you the best of luck for race 2. We're going to turn our attention to GT3 Pro in just a moment, and we'll have a chat to you at the end.
Thanks, mate.
All right, quick break on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. This is Monday Night Motorsport across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. And of course, as I say, each and every week, we do it with thanks to the people that scroll across the top and bottom of your screen throughout the broadcast, they being Laced Options, Sprite Insiders, Orbit Australia, Login Systems, Player One Sim Gear, Loadsy Racing, M-Wave Australia, and Flash Graphics. A break and back for more carnage around Lédenon with GT3 Pro. It's round 7, night 1 of week 7 of term 4. Jeez, I knew I'd get that wrong eventually. Continues for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Race 3 of the program, the feature for round 7 of Waste Options GT3 Pro on the other side. The platforms of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. Nice to have you along for the ride. Monday Night Motorsport across Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Part 3 of the schedule for you now. From the entree to the main course, and now on to some dessert. And it is the second race of the program for GT3 Pro from this venue. And we've got the morning warm-up about to take place here with the gap between the two races, the sprint and the feature. And we'll have some results for you in just a tick from race 1 of the Pro Split here. Liam Banks alongside yours truly, Zach Cabe, and Adam Lavis still here as well. We're at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're looking at 20% humidity, 23 degrees the ambient and track temperature. Partly cloudy conditions on this 3.08 kilometre course, which is bound to be on the receiving end of a few mixed reviews, it's fair to say, Liam Banks.
Yeah, that's fair to say. And I'll tell you what's going to make it even trickier. Look at that wind, 22 kilometers an hour. That's not nothing. That will make it a little bit trickier out there compared to if it had been a completely still evening. Well, afternoon, I suppose, in Circuit de Lédenon in France. It's had mixed reviews. It's definitely difficult to overtake around here. We saw that in the amateur split in race 1 tonight, but it's a very challenging track. It really is going to test these drivers and separate the men from the boys.
Ferrari 1, 2, 3 at the moment, BMW 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a couple more Ferraris with Thomas Martin's Porsche thrown into good measure there in the top 10 at the moment. Dench cleared by 96 points. Coming into this round ahead of Simon Cox, Wayne Hewitt is third, and I have to say I saw both Dench and Cox in the serve earlier, but I didn't see them contesting race 1, so I hazard a guess that they might have parked up for the night. More on that in just a tick when we have a look at the results from race 1. In the meantime, 258 for Wood and Knight as well, 213 for Mitchum, 193 for Sam Chapman, 180 for Matt Distill, 51 rather for Thomas Martin, and 148 for Daniel Hill. Remaking up the top 10, drop rounds become part of the equation once we're done with this round here tonight, so looking forward to that. Qualifying results saw Matt Dench on top, 1 minute 17.423 from Simon Cox, Sam Chapman, Wayne Hewitt, Richard Mitchum and Jared Knight. Fred Kahn was 7th, Nick Wood was 8th, and then Matt Distill and David Baz made up the top 10. Can we have a look at the race 1 results, please? There they are. Oh, okay, Denchy was the winner. So now, can you just elaborate for me, Adam Lavis, why we weren't picking up Denchy on our timing screen when we joined the server, please?
I have no idea.
No, I have no idea. I didn't. It was telling me that Dench, Cox, and
Probably
Mitchum had all parked up for the night.
Because they'd finished the race. They'd crossed the line and pulled over as we joined the server.
Gotcha. Okay, so Dench and Cox 1 and 2, Jared Knight 3rd, Nick Wood 4th, Fred Kahn, David Baz, Tim Hughes. David Baz was showing as the winner on my screen a few moments ago, so that would have been one for the cards. One for the record books, Tim Hughes, Scott Wood, and Daniel Correa Star and David Johnson in the top 10. We're going to invert that field in a moment. We've got Matt Distill, Wayne Hewitt, Dave Riddell, and Jonathan Hooper waiting to join us on the grid here. If not, we're going to have a field of 14 leading us off for this second and final race of the night. And Dave Dench makes a very good point. In this particular scenario, on this particular track, unknown entity, it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do from 10th on the grid. Liam Banks, your thoughts before we get going?
I think if I'm David Johnson or Daniel Correa, I'm fancying my chances of taking a win here. I'd also look at Jared Knight in 8th, a couple of positions ahead of Cox and Dench. If he gets a good start, or Nick Wood, and can get themselves up to 3rd, 4th within the first couple of corners, could make all the difference. I would not go passive on the first lap, given how hard it is to make overtakes. If I'm in that top 10, I want to make my way forward in the first few corners and try and bank that advantage for the rest of the race.
So, Daniel Correa and David Johnson will bring us to green. Set to rock and roll. Race 2 of round 7. Waste options GT3. Let's go. Bang! Car the wall. Denchi might have got caught up in that. There's cars everywhere.
Someone else.
Wow. Thankfully, I can tell you that there have been, about 12 cars get through unscathed. But already Nick Wood and Fred Kahn in pit lane. Matt Distill a non-starter, so too Dave Riddell, Wayne Hewitt and Jonathan Hooper. Carnage from the outset. Unfortunate. And Matt Dench is there in 12th position. Costly start for the champion-elect here. Extraordinary scenes on the opening lap in the early stages. There goes David Baz. Oh. Yep. New track. Venture into the unknown. Always fraught with danger.
Yeah, you know it's been chaos at the start when you look at 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th and they're at 4, 5, 5 and 6 places respectively. Although that's just swapped around as David Baz has rejoined in 7th somehow. Not sure how that's happened. Or it might be a case of people going off track. That's Jared Knight going off track. Rare to see him off track. He's usually a very safe pair of hands. So it'll be interesting to see what happened there. This is Daniel Carrasar starting in 2nd. He's in 3rd position. He's got Scott Wood and White right behind him, and Tim Fuge, Simon Cox and Sam Chapman in close company behind that.
Holy heck, that start was wild. I read heck as a different word there a moment ago. I had to have a second look at that. David Johnson the leader, Scott Wood in 2nd. Interesting to note that we've got a BMW, a Lambo, a Ferrari, a Porsche in the top 4. And then it's Ferrari and BMW the rest of the whole field through.
We've also got Knight, Dench and Khan all in the pits. We'll have to wait and see whether they will rejoin the race or whether that is them parking up the line.
No fast repairs in the pro split.
Correct. And Dirty Monster, you obviously are new here if you're keeping it PC. You certainly are. Jared Knight in pit lane, so to Matt Ben. There's the carnage. Bang.
Khan, the key car and all that. Yeah. That's the car you see pulling over to the left. Did he get touched? Or did he just... Oh, he get bumped? Who's that's bumped him? Because that's going to be a big penalty. And then I think there'll be a penalty coming Dench's way for not holding his brakes as well.
Might be Jared.
Oh dear. It was nasty. It was dirty. It was messy. Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second. There are a few people in your boat not racing tonight, looking for 5 field. Jared Knight gave him a shunt. At that point, Dench was pirouetting. Dench, unfortunately. Wayne Hewitt just conceding defeat there in race 1 with the old rage quit. We haven't heard had a rage quit for a while, have we? Good to see Wayne Hewitt delivering something new in season 4 of 2023. Well done, mate. Thank you. Lap 3 of 27 around here, and already it's clear that it's going to be a tough slot. Knight and Dench still on pit road, and if they go, well, they're about to go 2 laps down, I think.
I have to say, this race now is anybody's for the taking. You've got to like the look of Richard Mitchum in 8th. We know Richard Mitchum's got some extraordinary pace at times. His last lap in the 1:19 compared to the 20s and 21s for everybody else, which, interesting to note, is slower than we saw in the AMP split, right? Because they were doing 1:19s. So yet to find the pace around this track, although conditions are a bit different, you've got to think there's a bit more there. I mean, Richard Mitchum's showing them that. So really, you can't pick a winner out of this race. Yes, overtaking is hard, but there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be mistakes from this leading 6, and if you can keep it clean and find a bit of pace, you might find your way to the top. Now that 2 of the favourites in 90 and obviously Dench and have finished this race, they've been taken out, and Matt Distill didn't take the start. And Wayne Hewitt as well would have been well placed for victory in this race, depending on where it started, but he's not racing, so we're going to get somebody new taking a victory, most likely.
And that's that is just typical. This feels like a sprint race of old, doesn't it? Oh, David Johnson! That's live! And already caught up in that as well. I think Daniel Carrasar might have got involved in that. Richard Mitchum goes back through to 7th. And unfortunately for Jono, yep, he's going to park up. And limp that one. Not even limp it back to the lane. He's going to park up and hop on the tow rope. David Johnson parks up in pit lane, joining Jared Knight and Matt Dench on the casualty list. Now, have a look at this. Simon Cox trying to get up into the top three on the inside of Sam Chapman and Tim Fuge. All of a sudden, this new life is
And that's Chapman on the inside of Fuge. Chapman into second, and this is going to be Cox trying to get through on Fuge as well.
Yep.
He's going to have to hold on right outside. Fuge has got the inside line. Fuge holds on to third for now, and Sam Chapman finds himself in second place. That's ambitious. Oh.
Very ambitious.
Just about managed to pull that one out. Pull out of that one, I think, before it was too late. Good driving for Simon Cox. Simon Cox also, if I remember right, driving well in the endurance race on the weekend. This is what
Let's
happened
have a
with
look at David
Johnson.
Johnson.
He
It was
goes
just
wide.
Yeah. Too deep in and just locked it up and got it crossed up. Couldn't pull it up.
Yeah, feel sorry for Cressar there because he noticed it earlier. You could see he was really trying to bring the car back over to the inside, but no matter what he did, it was never going to be enough with the line that David Johnson was taking. But thankfully, didn't hurt Cressar too much. Lost one position in that, I believe, and is currently running in fifth and well and truly in that battle pack that stretches from Sam Chapman in second all the way down to David Baz in sixth. Richard Mitchell becoming the latest pits. I think he might be retiring from this race. Scott Wooden in a fantastic position, started in third place, got himself into the lead very early, and now has a 3-second lead on Sam Chapman. So we'll have to keep an eye on the respective pace to see whether he can grow it or whether this battle pack is going to become a battle pack for the lead. Richard Mitchell is rejoining the racetrack, and he will rejoin in 10th or 11th spot.
So Simon Cox, fourth place at the moment. He's doing a very nice job of it. Just narrowly avoiding some trouble in the early stages of this race. Pit's going to be interesting, gentlemen, because I think anyone that's come in this early might have another bill to pay. Jared Knight, Matty Dent remain in pit lane. Race distance is 27 laps. So, oh geez, 75% of that, you're going to have to get upwards of 20 laps completed just to be classified. Well, 6.5 and 13, 20 laps. You're going to have to get to 21. You're going to have to get to 21 laps to be classified. So I think that's about to rub Dench and Knight out, which is rather unfortunate for them. David Johnson has got back out onto the... No, he hasn't. He's decided to park up for the night. I was thinking he might have got back out there 2 laps down, but no, he's parked up for the night. David Baz is out. Nick Wood started from pit lane. That might have ended up being a masterstroke for him.
Safest place to be, wasn't it, with all of the chaos at the start, just caused by drivers trying to get a run as the field went green and just miscalculating it and causing a bit of chaos. I think the stewards come down pretty harshly on that, I imagine. It's the kind of thing where if everybody starts doing it every race, you're going to get instances like that happening every single race. You really can't try and... Well, you can try and second guess it, and that method we saw of just accelerating, stopping can work when you get it right, but when you get it wrong, it can go very, very, very wrong, particularly if the car ahead brakes a little bit unexpectedly, which is what we saw there. In the meantime, I just want to call attention to the fact that battle pack really is homing in on Scott Wooden at the front of this field. The gap was at 3.5 seconds, it's now down to 1.8. And Scott Wooden, half a second slower than Sam Chapman on the previous lap and was second slower on the lap before. Chapman, Fuge, Cox running in the mid to low 1 minute 19s and Wooden running in the high 1 minute 19s to low 1 minute 20s. So that battle for the lead is going to be on in about 2 or 3 laps time if this pace continues on. And Danny Perez is at the back of that battle pack, 1.5 seconds off Simon Cox and lapping in the 1 minute 19.9, so he's falling off the back a little bit less than the final pace. Of those that are pitted, Nick Wood is fastest, and he is by far the fastest man on track right now. Only man in the 1 minute 18, so watch out for him when the front of the field makes that pit stop. So what could be a point of trouble for him is he's only 5 seconds behind Alan Holgerson. So if he catches Alan Holgerson, then he might be holding him up, but Alan Holgerson's pace is actually really good at the moment. So that threat is looking unlikely. it's going to be interesting to see whether it all peter out once the field has turned itself.
There goes Simon Cox again. So yet again, it's just Tim Fuge and Simon Cox. They've lost Chapman. Chapman's put a little bit of breathing space between himself and Fuge, and is chasing Scott Wooden at the moment. The margin 1.1 seconds, and Wooden holding sway. A Rambo at the front of the field. That's been a rare commodity this season.
It's the only one running in either the Pro or the Am split, and it's currently at the top. So what are you all doing? Get yourselves in a Lambo, he says, with a little bit of what's the word? Lack of being genuine there, because he's lapping about 7/10 slower than Sam Chapman at the moment, consistently half a second to a second lap slower. Sam Chapman's got that gap down to a second, and we know Sam Chapman knows how to win races. We saw him do it in the GT4s. He's comfortable running towards the front of the field. He's taking his time to find his feet in the GT3, but he is getting there, and this could be this would be fantastic for him, even if it stays as it is. And at the moment, he's looking good to at least make this a live door-to-door battle for the win, where your ability to race is going to pay just as much as your outright pace.
Now, I'm just going to jump in here for a second and let everybody know that we're in the closing stages of the Cricket World Cup. Of course, 19 laps to go here. Just quickly before we go to the news that I was going to share from the Cricket World Cup, I wanted to go around the grounds. But, albeit far too soon and too early in the piece, we've got a special guest in the commentary box. His name is Matt Dench. I take it Circuit the Lédenon's on the Nevada Tour again venue list?
I mean, race one, I won by 18 seconds, so I was having a good time.
Okay, so, all right, I'll rephrase that. Just, we won't come back here in sprint form is what you're going to say.
Yeah, I know. Like, I think the lead car in that right lane was on the brake pedal when the green light come up, and everyone accelerated except for him, and yeah, everyone braked and got slammed into the side, so
Now, the interesting thing that we should point out here is that, and David Johnson's about to call you, join you, I should say. Here's the other thing as well, Denchi. It's not like it was a make or break round for you. You had a 96-point advantage coming into this round. You could have easily sat this one out, but we know how much you appreciate a new challenge.
yeah, well, I put 20 laps in earlier trying to learn the track, so I thought we'd better turn it up.
Now, well, I was going to say, I'm glad you turned up. Too many others didn't tonight. But Johnson's out, you're out, Knighty's out as well. Fred Kahn didn't get past the start strike, of course. It's always so unfortunate. I mean, we know how fraught with danger those invert situations are, and particularly the first few laps thereof, particularly on a new circuit. But for it to blow up in smoke on the start-finish line, mate, that was rather disappointing.
Well, to be fair, I didn't make the start-finish line.
No, that's sorry. No, I'm not trying to rub anything in here. Come back in a moment, Denchi. David Johnson, welcome into you. It was all going so well until you lost the rear end.
There you go, guys. Seems to be a regular occurrence. So I'll drop in about halfway through the night now and talk about where it all went wrong.
All right. Okay. Firstly, impressions on the new circuit, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, tough, really tough. I've heard a few judgment calls that it's not really a GT3 circuit. I'd probably agree. Like, you'd love to see some slower cars racing around here. It'd probably be really fun. But yeah, I don't think you could tell by the way traffic ahead of me was going on in race one that none of us had done any driving in traffic, and everyone was trying to figure it out as we went. So that's okay. Had a bit of fun. I think the main thing, I went and watched the start of race 2 just to make sure I'd got away nice and fairly at the start, and if I'd realised what had gone on behind me, I would have taken less risks in that race.
Yep. As I said, it might have been a masterstroke from Nick Wood to start from pit lane. In saying that, Denchi, the circuit, should we come back here in a GT3 car or not? I mean, everyone's got mixed reviews on it. It probably doesn't scream the best track for GT3 racing that we've ever seen, but as you say, race 1 couldn't have gone any better for you.
I think with a few more laps under the belt of everyone, I think GT3s would be pretty fun here. So.
Okay, interesting. And what did you like about the circuit, and what didn't you like about the circuit? Can I pick your brain on that?
Ooh, all of the elevation changes, blind corners. It's a lot of trust in the car and knowing where you're actually going. It's quite a challenge.
All right. Okay, so before we let you go, because obviously we need to tip the hat and say congratulations for race 1. I guess it does work into your favour that Wayne Hewitt's had a shocker tonight, and so too 90. But obviously Cox is still out there and making a game of it. Drop rounds get factored into the equation tonight. Are you still in a position to wrap this up in week 9 despite the little hiccup tonight?
Maybe. We'll probably jump out there and see if we can snag the fastest lap here in about 7 minutes and I'll get out of the pit lane.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, the problem is you won't get classified, Denton. You're too far down now, 11 laps down.
Yeah, but if I can take some points away, that's as good as getting them.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I'll pay that. He's competitive right to the very end, isn't he, ladies and gentlemen? You've got to love that. Well done, mate. How long did you say you've got, 11?
Another 6 minutes.
Another 6 minutes, right. I'm going to pick your brain one more time before we let you go. In the meantime, back to David Johnson. It's always fraught with danger when we bring new tracks into the equation. But for you, though, you couldn't have asked for much better than finishing 9th, ticking that box in race 1. And it looked like, for the most part, you were making as best of it as you could with regards to enjoying that clear real estate, having started at the front end of town for race 2.
Yeah, I thought we might be getting a bit of screen time for the old HTS sponsors and try not to stuff it up. I probably thought about that a bit too much, and that's probably what I did. But look, I actually, like I said, if I'd known what was going on, having gone back and watched all the action, would have been driving very differently, because I was really waiting for the battle we're watching on screen now to start to unfold, because I think all 3 of these guys would get me, along with Daniel, and apologies, Tim.
Lead change. Tim Feuds got on the inside of Scott Wooden, job done.
Yeah, but the real leader in this race is Nick Wood. Nick Wood is in the lead of this race effectively. If he doesn't have to pit again, and I'm cautious saying that because he pitted, it's got a pit lap of 0 against his name and a pit time of 2.47. So it's potentially Richard Mitchum, who's just come out ahead of Sam Chapman. I was watching, as we were talking to Denchi and David, I was watching the timings and thinking, those drivers stuck behind Wooden, you've got to pit, because their lap times absolutely plummeted when they got to Wooden. It wasn't 1 minute 20s, it was 1 minute 21s, and they were losing 3-4 seconds a lap to the cars behind. So Wood and Mitchum have been running in clean air, absolutely killed it. Chapman just comes out ahead of Cox, but what should have been the 3 drivers fighting for the lead, I mean, if Fuge thankfully has got past Wooden now, so he'll be able to increase his pace, I'd imagine. But these guys could come out in 5th or 6th place if they're not careful.
So Nick Wood will have to pit. Like the tank size doesn't allow this series to be able to fill up at the start. You'll need to come get your juice.
It's All Stars night in the commentary box here, Adam Lavis. We were all having a conversation before we got underway about having a short, sharp, sweet post-race show, unlike the last couple of weeks. And mission accomplished, because we're going to have 3 boxes ticked before we get to the post-race show. Get to Jared Knight in just a moment, who is parked up for the night. How much repair time have you got, Knighty?
She's all done now, but yeah, there's no point going around this track. So, it was about 15 minutes. 15 minutes are required after that.
Okay, copy that. I was going to say, both out of contention for the 75%, but Denchi still wants the fastest lap, so he's only going out there to prove the point very shortly. Denchi, talk to me about that, though, because it's unfortunate for you in the sense that because of where you were in race 1, you didn't really get a chance to suss out legitimate, solid overtaking opportunities around here. It doesn't look like there are many.
I think with the pace advantage that I got, I could probably find quite a few spots. But you'd have to follow and work out what people are doing before you go full send.
Very nicely done. And as far as the racing's concerned here, mate, I am about to let you go. We've got 3 rounds to go after this one, of course, and it's all in the form of 60 minutes around Coolgee next week, a sprint round around the Watkins Glen Boot the week after, and then we go to Bathurst for 90 minutes. So the best of all 3 formats and 3 pretty good circuits for it as well.
Yeah, well, I think considering for DNF in this second race, we might actually have to buy Fuji and learn that
You
track
might.
too. So
Yep, absolutely. And I wait with bated breath to see you master that next one. Although that being said, that's disappointing news for Jared Dodd. He was looking at that as a potential leg up, but a potential race winning opportunity, not.
yeah, it's still
Yeah,
possible.
Go, Denchi. No. All right, we'll get back to Denchi in a moment. Jared, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I disagree with Denchi's sentiment. I think he should sit out this week as well. That'd be real nice.
All right. We'll wait and see if the master turns up next week. Denchi, thanks for being a good sport, dropping in and having a chat to us. Well done on the win in race 1 and the pole position. Bad luck in race 2.
Yeah, thanks.
Nighty, your general impressions of the circuit, if you don't mind?
Yeah, not a fan. It's just, it doesn't suit me at all. It's just, it's way too tight and in and out. It's just, yeah, wasn't having fun. I was actually really surprised with a P3 at the end of race 1, but yeah, wasn't too shocked when I got caught up in a bit of a mess at the start there, but it just happened a little bit earlier than I thought it was going to.
Well, that's exactly right. I don't think anyone saw a start line crash coming, but at the same time, everyone was watching on, waiting for shots to be fired and triggers to be pulled because we didn't know how fraught with danger that was going to be, mate. Legitimate overtaking opportunities that were few and far between. Racecraft was going to be a big element of the storyline, the narrative here. Unfortunately, when it all goes up in smoke on the start-finish line, you don't get a chance to watch any of that play out. Should just jump in here and give everybody an update on the race thus far. Huge wouldn't hold us in yet to stop. Wood will have to stop again. There'll be a cloud of uncertainty over Richard Mitchum and David Baz trying to get 22 and 21 laps out of their respective tanks. And then, of course, Harry and Astakis yet to stop as well down in 10th place. So we've only got 10 runners out there. We've got can you believe it though? We've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. It's quite extraordinary. And Matt Dench, after 21 minutes, has got back out on the racetrack. So good luck to Denchi going after that fastest lap bonus point. Banksy, your impressions of this race thus far? I mean, Richard Mitchum's looking okay if he can get the thing home. 22 laps is a big stint. But we've got 13.5 minutes left to see how it's going to play out. And of course, if he can't get it done, someone like Tim Huge, Scott Wooden, Alan Holgerson would love to. We've lost Jared Knight and David Johnson at this point. I was hoping to have a bit more of a chat with them. We'll do it next time because I was going to get their thoughts on next week's Fuji and the like. But anyway, I mean, as you said earlier, Huge was losing some time behind Wooden, had to get past, did get past, and now it's a matter of keeping Richard Mitchum at bay, but easier said than done.
Yeah, but I wonder if he's burnt his tyres a little bit driving behind Wooden for so long, because since he's got past, he has pulled away, he's pulled a 2-second gap, but I expected to see a little bit more pace from him. He's in the mid to late 1 minute 19s. Compared to look at the drivers that have stopped, I mean, Sam Chapman's last lap was a 1 minute 18.8, and Fuge just put in a 1 minute 20.2, 1 minute 19.8, and 19.8. Let's wait to see what the likes of Wood, Mitchum, and Chapman can do. Wood's put in an 18.9, which shows the pace is there in the circuit. I'll bring you Mitchum and Chapman's lap time as they cross the start-finish line, but for me, the story of this race so far is Mitchum playing a blind on strategy, taking that early pit stop, getting himself out of traffic and just driving in clean air, letting his pace do the talking. And it's put him 6.5 seconds ahead of Chapman. Chapman's drove a brilliant race to get to where he is, effectively in second place on the road once Fuge and Wooden and Hodgson and Wood stop, holding off Simon Cox, who we know is one of the very fastest in the series, one of those few drivers who has taken a win off Denchi when there's been only a small bit of misfortune for Denchi rather than something large going wrong. So yeah, but it's a case of what could have been, because I think if you're Chapman, if you're Fuge, and you pit earlier, 3 or 4 laps earlier than they did, you know, pit as they catch the back of Wooden rather than sitting behind them. I think they're in 1-2 in this race and looking good for a victory because Mitchum's got pace, but would he have the pace to overtake? That's a different thing entirely.
Now, here's one for you. So a couple of things, ladies and gentlemen. As Matty Dench gets back out there, sits in 12th place at the moment, still yet to get that fastest lap, and he won't do it whilst he's having moments like this. Bang. Off onto the gravel and gone, and that just sums up the night, I'd say. But now, we can report that I think there's been a first in world cricket tonight at the ICC Cricket World Cup. Sri Lanka are playing Bangladesh at the moment, and Sri Lanka are 5 for 162 after 30 overs. Angela Matthews has been given out, timed out. I kid you not, timed out. Yes, it is one of 10 different methods of dismissal in the game of cricket. Timed out. He didn't get out of the middle quick enough. The umpire sent him packing. Timed out, didn't face a ball, and Sri Lanka lost 2 in as many balls. But of course, the wicket can't be attributed to any given bowler, so it wouldn't have given the bowler a hat-trick opportunity. Let's just, nip that one in the bud right now. 5 for 162 after 30 overs, and a bizarre moment there. Well, that's one of those please explain type moments at the World Cup. And we've been talking in recent weeks, gentlemen, as well, and I'm just padding here with filling a couple of gaps in what is an otherwise professional affair, waiting for these last 3 pit stops to play out. We have got to lap 20, so that makes me now think that maybe those guys that pitted, Richard Mitchum and also David Baz, lap 5 and 6, they might just be okay, because there are just 7 laps to go. This will surprise no one here. Toka have terminated the BTCC video game license with Motorsport Games, and this is exactly the reason we can't show you IndyCar on a Friday night on the platforms for GSRC either, ladies and gentlemen. But if they've terminated this, if the BTCC have terminated the Toka game, I can only see that IndyCar might be not too far away from shelving their plans with Motorsport Games as well, which is rather unfortunate for all and sundry that wanted to play a console version of their favourite categories around the world, including me. We'll just stick to Formula 1 for now.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially after they've already lost the NASCAR license. It seems like people are, how do I say this in a way that's not libel? It seems that Motorsport Games haven't fulfilled their promises, and companies are deciding to avoid the risk that Motorsport Games comes with, because they've just, they've not really delivered at all. And so I think we're going to see, I wouldn't be surprised if IndyCar pulls out right soon and we see Motorsport Games struggle to exist in a couple of years. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I don't know what their circumstances are, but the last thing I read was that they had an $8 million loss in the last time they reported their finances. So not looking strong, and they've had like the NASCAR IP for a while and didn't really deliver any games. They delivered one which was not well received. So we might be able to show IndyCar soon, which would be great. Which would be great fun.
So, interesting here. The 2 leaders, Fuge and Wooden, just pitted with 6 laps to go. Holgerson went around again, and Richard pitted on lap 5. So Richard might have actually snuck one out of the bag here.
I think he's nailed it. I think he's done exactly what he intended to do when he was starting from so far down the pack.
Closing stages of an interesting night at the office. 6 laps to go. Holgerson, Mitchum, Chapman, Cox, Baz, Fuge, Correa, Sarah and Wood. In comes Holgerson to cleanse the field. Parianastakis is almost a lap down, so not factoring in the equation, but at least he's still in the race somewhat, unlike Matt Dench, who's out there just trying to find the fastest lap out of that Ferrari. 1 minute 18.445 for Sam Chapman, 1 minute 18.460 for Richard Mitchum. So that fight is on in earnest.
I'm wondering if Paz is going to try and come and have a private message with you, because I promoted him this 2 weeks ago because he was up on the pace of the M guys, and now all of a sudden he's 2 seconds slower than the M guys. So it's a bit odd. Just might not be gelling with the track. One of those things where it's just not gelling with him.
not gelling with a few people, I'd say, Banksy.
Happens sometimes, doesn't it? Particularly around a circuit like this. David Caressa, he got caught up in that incident earlier on with, was it David
Johnson.
David Johnson, thank you. But he's recovering okay. He's in 7th spot, down 5 places from where he started. So this is effectively where he would have started the reverse grid if my maths is correct. Well, where he would have finished in race 1. So that wouldn't be a bad result for him. And he's in the middle of the battle pack with Fuge and Wood. So if he can get a couple of positions, that'll be a really good recovery from Caressa. And even if he doesn't, I think he'll put this down into a solid result given the contact early on in the race. And that's Nick Wood trying to get past, but Caressa's gonna hold on because of oh no, he's not. That's a left-hander there. No. And he yields. He's going very, very slow there.
Yeah.
Daniel's got a little bit of damage from that contact though, so he might have just yielded there with having that bit of a wounded vehicle.
What car is that behind Nick Wood? Because it looked an awfully lot like
it's Scott Wood and Lambo.
Oh, I looked like Caressa just absolutely let him through. I thought it might have been lapped car.
No. Scott Wood in the 8th place. So BMW 1-2, Ferrari 3, 4, 5, Porsche 6, BMW 7, 8 is where you find the only Lambo in the field, and the 2 Ferraris round out the field. In 9th and 10th, and a 1:17.898 for M. Dench. He got there. He got it. He won't get classified, but he got the fastest lap, but he's done it with 4 laps to go. You can come in and park it now, Denchy. The job is done. No one's touching that. That is an extraordinary number. Wow. Just wow. And in the meantime, yeah, it's a 6.8 second advantage. Richard Mitchum over Sam Chapman. So those guys have fought their way through. Mitchum from 14th and Chapman from 11th. On a night that won't be remembered for all the right reasons, I wouldn't imagine, for some of our title contenders. Been rather frustrating. Alan Holgerson back in the pit lane now. That's unexpected. That is somewhat of a surprise.
He only just pitted too.
Yeah, exactly. Is it a stop and hold? Did he not take enough fuel? Has he got damage? I don't know. Alan Holgerson's on pit road with 3 laps to go.
It's a pretty long stop, yeah.
Yeah, it could be a penalty, and that rubs another one out of contention. Parry's now a lap and a half down, but out there just getting to the finish line. Johnson, Knight, and Khan have already parked up.
Yeah, certainly, and what could have been is correct. I think there'll be a lot of drivers that come away
for
with
so
that
many,
being the main feeling for them, because it has been an opportunity.
The thing is, though, he hasn't given up yet. He thinks he can go faster. He's out there probably cooling the tyres off because there's 3 laps to go from them trying to improve that benchmark. Oh, it's on!
Whoa, it's gone up in flames. Have a look at that. Nick Wood, unfortunately, comes undone. Wayne Hewitt. Well, no. So, just to clarify what Wayne Hewitt's asking the question there, and we mentioned it earlier, Dench can't score the points, but by virtue of him having the fastest lap, nor can anyone that is classified. So, essentially, the points will be wiped off the board, not just for Dench, but for everybody with him having the purple ball. So. That's unfortunate for everybody that a point or 2 goes begging, but it is in the name of fairness. It is in the sporting code.
It's also just a point of pride, isn't it, to take the fastest lap? I mean, that means more than the points or taking away points from anybody else. It's the bragging rights. Everybody wants to have the fastest lap. Why wouldn't you go for it if you could?
Dench has made plenty of statements in the past, though. He probably doesn't need to make another one. Extraordinary.
In saying that, when I say why wouldn't you go for it when you could, why wouldn't you go for it when you could if you have a realistic chance of getting it and you're a safe pair of hands? If I retire from a race, there's no way I'm coming in to try and get the fastest lap, because that's only going to end with me taking out somebody still running. So when you're Denchy, it's a lot safer.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And this is the final lap. These drivers are about to start, and we're watching Sam Chapman hold off Simon Cox. Simon Cox, one of the fastest guys in GT3, has been for a number of seasons, is lighting it up in the Endurance Championship as well. Chapman, new to the GT3, has had really good pace this race. I think this has been his strongest race, even taking into fact the fact he's been helped by a lot of the stronger drivers taking themselves out or being taken out of the race. Definitely a strong performance, and second will be his best result in GT3 if he can hold up Simon Cox, and that's a big if, because Simon Cox is, as I said, one of the best drivers in this championship, and these two are 8 seconds behind Richard Mitchum now, who is absolutely cruising out in front of this race. Yes.
Greg Heaney's jumped into the commentary box, and we'll get to Greg in just a moment, because that'll be in relation to the AM race just wrapped up, remembering that they're about 5 minutes ahead of the Pro server tonight, just for our programming purposes and broadcast schedule. This is the closing stages of a cracking scrap in the fight for second between Sam Chapman and Simon Cox, but at the top end of town, no one stopping Richard Mitchum. Commanding win for the Brit in France. He loves these European circuits. He'll want to come back here. Mitchum wins from 14th on the grid. Race 2 of the night, round 7 of Waste Options GT3 Pro. Second will go to Sam Chapman, barely getting the job done over Simon Cox. David Baz, have a look at this under all sorts of pressure from Tim Hughes. A run to the checkered flag. Baz gets the job done, holds off Hughes across the strike in fourth. Photo finished behind that. Daniel Correa-Sar and Scott Wooden. Whoa, hang on. Scott Wooden's run out of juice, I think, at the very end.
He hit the brakes because he's not in the championship. He was giving his teammate the points.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. I was going to say either that or he's had to wipe off some penalty time or something. I'm not sure. Daniel Correa-Sar 7th. Nick Wood got home in 6th. Alan Holgerson in 9th. Harry Anastasiou made up the top 10 on a night where Matt Dench still got the fastest lap of the race, despite not being a finisher, not classified at only 11 of 27 laps. Wow. Yeah, that's a night to forget for so many. Our maiden voyage to the circuit to Lédenon, and I think there'll be a vote. There'll be a motion moved from the GT3 contingent of the GSRC not to go there again. It might be in the NTA list. But it dropped some good stuff here and there throughout both servers tonight. Mitchum, Chapman, Cox, Baz, and then Fuge, Wood, Correa-Sar, Wooden, Holgerson, and Anastakis. It's a very sorry tale beyond that. Greg Heaney, let's go to you before some of the pro split boys join us. Dale Sharp getting a win in the feature from Paul Wood and Greg Heaney. And just recapping there as well, actually, no, I don't have those numbers where Greg started on the grid there in that second. Actually, there it is in the middle. Sixth place. There it is. Yeah, no, sorry, mate. I'm just having a look, and some of those numbers are rather faint and small. Sixth, third row. So that would have been 5th in race 1, mate. So you backed that up very nicely with a podium. Well done on that. As far as we'll have the another look at those results in just a moment if Adam Lavis can keep them handy. Straight to iRacing for a refund request. Magnificent from Wayne Hewitt at this time of the night. There were mixed views across the two splits, mate, as to what where this circuit sat on their favourites and not favourites list. Where does it stack up for you? Did you enjoy the circuit? Did you enjoy the challenge? Or are you happy to see the back of it?
No, I actually enjoyed it. Very tight racing. It was quite good. I had a good old battle with, who was it? I'm trying to think now. It was Trucker, Joe. I had a good old battle with him for a handful of laps and putting him under some pressure, and managed to get him to outbrake himself in a corner and managed to get past him. So, no, it was a whole heap of fun, actually.
Indeed, and I mean that's the thing. Different horses for courses. Some are going to like it, some are going to hate it. That's the nature of racing, isn't it? Not everybody's going to like every track we throw up.
Oh, of course. I mean, it was stated at the start of the season it was following the GT series, so it is what it is. I'll turn up for every week.
And that's the thing too. We're having this conversation, Banksy and I, and with Adam Lavis earlier in the piece. Those that show up as opposed to those that don't. At least here, you've given yourself I mean, there were some drivers, and I think you might have been in the mix here as well, that needed to show up for the sake that they didn't have drop rounds to fall back on, or they've already had a bad round, so they couldn't afford another one. But even still, you don't want to just deliberately forfeit a round and then rely on the rest of the rounds to fall the way that you hope they fall, because we know that racing so often doesn't play out that way.
Well, that's exactly right. And after my performance last week at Interlagos, I have to at least put in a good showing this week. And yeah, with a 5th and 3rd, I'm happy with that.
And what does that mean for the next 3 rounds of the championship now, mate? Obviously, Fuji, Watkins Glen, and also Mount Panorama.
Huge fan of Watkins, so looking forward to that one. Fuji, we'll have to do some more practice. Not a huge fan of it with the chicane at the bottom end of the circuit. It can be a little bit difficult to get right, and it also depends on who licks the stamp and sends it pretty quickly coming into that one, and if you're going to make it through there in one piece or not. But yeah, we'll give it a go and see how we come out. And
as far as what we've seen thus far, obviously Interlagos Ride America dished up some good racing. You've got to have the tricky, dicey, technical tracks to appreciate the good ones that we've got coming up, don't you?
Oh, most definitely.
What would your as you say, you've enjoyed the challenge and you've enjoyed learning a new circuit and getting to grip with it, and you've got the results to back it up. What would your advice be to everybody else if you're trying to encourage people to come back and give it another chance and persevere with it, maybe?
Well, that's exactly it. Persevere with it. Practice. I mean, I had an extra long weekend this weekend, so I was like, you know what? Stuff it. Putting laps
Lucky
in.
you. Yep. Not everybody was in that luxurious position, unfortunately, Greg, but that's okay. Well done. Good performance, as you say. 2 top 5 finishes tonight, mate. So congratulations on that, and look forward to seeing what you bring to the table when we get the Fuji next week.
No worries. Thank you very much.
And let's press on here and get the thoughts of our esteemed colleagues Sam Chapman and Daniel Correa-Sarr. Before we talk about tonight's GT3 endurance racing, gentlemen, let's talk about yesterday's. And obviously Liam Banks can chime in here as well, because he was with you in the booth, Chapo. We did have the latest round of the Login Systems GT3 and Hypercar Endurance Championship yesterday. I believe it was Road Atlanta, the venue. Tell me more.
Yes, Road Atlanta, the venue. 6-hour race, 12 hours real time, as in sim time, sorry. Yeah, it was some good racing. I mean, it's Road Atlanta, so you know that you had a few incidents here and there, and that's good racing all in all. Had I guess a smaller GTP field, but it wasn't the fears of no GTPs. We still had 3, and they put on a incredible battle at times. The end result, where they're a sort of couple of minutes from each other, doesn't really tell the full story on how close they were on the day at times. But yeah, GT3's put on a show. That's a championship dominated by Porsches rather than Ferraris and Beamers. So bit of a different look, but yeah, it was good.
All right, now talk me through your night as well here, and I'll get Banksy to throw some questions at you in just a moment, because we've had some very mixed reviews for this racetrack. We suspected that would be the case. Adam Laver said to me off there before we got going, think of Roots Kogan. That's probably the first track that came to mind. But this is the newest French offering on the server. Not everybody's favourite cup of tea. Probably would have preferred Paul Ricard maybe. But in saying that, everyone's in the same boat. You're all dealing with the same play field, and it's about how you deal with it, how you overcome it, as to how you play the game and how you fare on the night. And for you, 11th in race 1, and you made up for that with a hard-fought second and pushed all the way to the end by Simon Cox, I might add, in race 2.
Yeah, mixed night. I mean, the pace out there was good, but first race I was fighting with 90 for 3rd or 4th most of the race, and then right towards the end, something didn't come off. Got a tap from behind, and that tipped me over on incident points. 13 incident points around here, I tell you, is not particularly generous, given the off-track situation. So that's I went from sort of 4th to 11th with that particular situation. But yeah, second race, it all sort of cleared out ahead and sort of had to do a few bold actions that paid off, fortunately. But yeah, and then towards the end, I could see Richard ahead, and I just couldn't. I couldn't push too hard because I'd slightly underfilled, knowing full well that track position was going to be integral here. So couldn't push for the top spot, but yeah, pretty happy to keep Coxie at bay. That's no mean feat.
No, not at all. And serves you well as far as the championship is concerned, no doubt. In fact, in saying that, let's have a look at where things stand in GT3 at the moment. I know our colleague Adam Lavis is crunching the numbers there at the moment. You were in the top 10 coming into this round. So, I mean, on a night where Denchi's had a shocker, Wayne Hewitt parked up, and of course also Jared Knight's had an unlucky run. It's much of a muchness. No one really gains or loses here.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I did see Denchi sort of go there. I think it was pretty much at the start line. So just missed me, and then yeah, it was just trying to be as vigilant as possible and slipping around incidents. There was a number of them that either happened in front or next to me. So yeah, it was just trying to avoid those, and that was the end result. So yeah, it sort of is like, it's quite a cool track in some ways. As a test track, brilliant, right? But yeah, the overtaking is limited, like Ritz-Kogan, but even more hilly and even less straights. So yeah, probably not quite a GT3 circuit. I could see V's here.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But that's probably about as large as it gets from a racing capacity, I reckon.
All right, Liam Banks, anything to ask your commentary colleague here?
Well, second place ticked off the bucket list. So all you've got to do is get a win now.
Yes, that is all I have to do. And
no pressure.
Tonight was probably the opportunity, given it's not very often that Matthew Dedge is backwards. So we might have to go waiting for a while. But yep, we'll keep pushing with it, and hopefully it comes up.
And to that point, do you think the win was possible had you pitted earlier to cover off the threat of Richard Mitchum? We lost a lot of time stuck behind Wooden and battling with Fuge.
Yeah, I think so. I almost got Wooden, and then he had a bit of a wiggle, and that backed me up, and that let Fuge pass. So I think that was sort of the moment that changed the race from that perspective. I think if I'd gotten past Scott there, it would have been game on. But yeah, after that, I had a few laps waiting behind, and I was just a bit wary to pit too early, just given how it is so impossible to overtake here. So if you do get stuck in traffic, it can end poorly. So it was a bet either way, and his bet paid off, that he could get that clear air, and it worked for him. And I was lucky enough that I still came out in front of Coxie, to be honest, because that was pretty line ball.
Yeah, that was very line ball. I thought he did a very good job to actually hold him off, because Simon Cox is a good racer. Have you got a target in mind for the championship from here?
I think coming into it, I was trying to look at around the top 5 if I can. I don't think I can get those podium spots, so around the top 5, and then push properly, I guess, next season. Now that I'm used to the series and used to everyone that races in it.
Excellent. Good to chat to you as always, and thanks for the cast yesterday. It's good for commentating.
Oh no, thank you for keeping me company for all that time. It was a pleasure as always.
It would have been probably better for me to be in the comfort of the dry commentary box with you blokes yesterday as well, instead of the soaked and salted streets of Cessnock for the Cessnock Mitsubishi Australian Postage Bike Grand Prix, but their Sunday rates are better than yours. So in saying all of that, yeah, I was going to say I need a new raincoat. I need a new pair of joggers, and I need a new. I think I need a new washing drying machine. But hey, it was good to be there and to be a part of it. And I think the socks are a throwaway as well. But that's okay. It was good fun. 6 years to the day of the last Cessnock Mitsubishi Australian Postage Bike Grand Prix to be held in the rain, and won by the same blokes that won on that day as well. Just extraordinary stuff. Well done to Brodie Nolan and Josh Pickering on that note. Now, I'll get to Daniel Correa-Sar in just a moment. Let me bounce across there and go up to Paul Wood. Woodsy, welcome. Great to have you on board as per usual. Talk me through your night in the Amsplit, please.
What a hectic night. That is just a sweaty race from start to end. The Bailey's Ferrari did really well in the first race, although I unfortunately only got a fourth, which I was hoping a little bit better, but held on nicely. Second race was doing really well and basically had the win in my hand until the tyres absolutely died. Someone forgot to change them in the pit stop and lost the lead on the last lap. So that was my race. Not real happy in that regard, but yeah, overall, what a tough track. As Sam was saying, I think a very interesting track to drive. It's a fun one in that regard, but I don't know if it's conducive to racing for especially these sorts of cars. But I'll just say I'm glad it's over.
So, yay or nay to coming back to this circuit?
In these sort of cars, well, I'd be happy not to see it again. Couple of lessons were learnt though, if we ever do come back here again, like namely, remember to change your tyres in the pit stop. But yeah, other than that, depending on the car, like I said, could be a fun track, but yeah, not in these things, I don't think.
All right, mate, very nicely done. As far as the earlier race was concerned, did we see you on the grid in Super 2 or Super 3? We saw a couple of your teammates in Super 2. Did you have a run in Super 3? Or...
No, I actually thought we were racing a different track this week. I was picturing Lédenon as a different one. So luckily I decided to do some practice yesterday, realised I didn't actually own the track. I'd never turned a lap here. So I decided to give the Super 2 a skip tonight and do a little more concentration on getting the car up to speed for this track tonight and hopefully get a decent result, which I sort of achieved it there. Just very disappointing I didn't get the win. I was really hoping for that in the second race. So.
Fuji next week, a bit more flowing, a bit more open. Sure, a couple of technical sections along the way, but a distinctly different track to what we've dished up tonight.
Yes, yeah, and a few more direct.
I think we've just lost Paul Wood there.
I agree.
I can't hear you, Woodsy,
I can see him lighting up, but
I
no
can see
noise.
you lighting up. The lights are on. No one's
there we
home.
go.
We've got a Harold Holt. There he is.
Yeah.
We got him back.
Got to love it when you accidentally press the mute button.
No. I'm glad it wasn't just me, Woodsy. We could have let you keep going there, and no one would have heard a thing. It could have been the best thing you'd ever said in your life.
Oh, mate, that was, I just told you the solution to that question of why for the universe, but no one heard it.
Yeah, well, I remember hearing the story about that. Someone there was a university lecturer that put down the question why for an exam. It was the single worded question and it was the only question in an exam. Everybody else wrote thousands and thousands of words on different pages. And one student that wrote "why not?" and submitted the paper got full marks. So it was brilliant. Now, yeah, exactly. Now, sorry, I was asking you about Fuji. Continue.
Yes, should be an interesting race. A few more braking zones and a bit more room to move on that track. So hopefully a bit more conducive to some action-packed racing. So hopefully it should be fun. It'd be nice to get a decent result. But. Did you hear about with the Super 2s? Did that come through, or was I muted?
No, you mentioned Super 2, mate. Yeah,
okay,
no, we heard all of that. Don't worry. Don't worry. It doesn't take us long to realise when something's not quite coming through here, mate. We're usually pretty fairly quickly onto those sorts of things, or at least if we're not, the viewers at home are indeed. Hey, great to catch up with you, mate. What else is on the racing agenda this week, what?
Will be Radicals on Wednesday and GT4s at the moment, and I think Indy's road circuit this week, so I'll probably be doing Indy on Friday night as well. That's probably my week.
Very nice. All right, we'll keep an eye out. Go well. Good luck. Thanks for stopping on by to have a chat to us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
And we've got Joe Baldwin jumped into the booth as well. We'll get the trucker in just a moment, but we bring in Daniel Correa-Sar. Hello, mate. Nicely done. Brought the thing home in, well, is it lucky or unlucky 7th place?
I'd say it's lucky, all things considered. That track, if you don't need a gym, at all. You just get yourself a good direct drive wheel and a good load cell pedal, and that track, I am dead. I'm sweaty and I'm dead. But it was fun. I know I can understand why people aren't favorable to the track. I get it. But I see it as a technical challenge. I was nowhere near the pace of anyone up the front. It was terrible, but considering the limited overtaking opportunities, the reverse grid kind of helped me out there. I also don't know what happened at the start. I think I might have caused it. I'm not too sure.
Dear.
But when we were coming up to the start line, David had dropped all the way back, and he's the leader. So the game was like, don't pass the leader. I'm like, what? And I look over, and he's way back. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm trying to slow up in order for him to get ready to go on the green. And then, he just stayed back heaps, like way till the last second. So, yeah, I'm not. If I did cause that, my apologies.
Well, Daniel, you may have. But in saying that, it's the age-old rule of racing that the leader is the pace setter. The leader controls the field.
Yeah, 100%. I just didn't realize how much he had backed up, because obviously it's double file.
That's right.
And I have a single screen. So
I
was following the speed set behind the safety car, and when the safety car pulled in, I just maintained that speed, and then realized that David had dropped all the way back. That one caught me by surprise.
All right, mate.
He took me out, so it's all good.
Yeah. Now, as far as the circuit is concerned, impressions of it. Are you a fan? Are you not? Would you come back here in a GT3 car? What do you think it'll do for other categories?
Yeah, look, it's a good track. I understand why people don't like it, and I can sympathize with the thoughts of maybe it's not good for GT3. Most people obviously prefer to drive flat out, and so a track like this doesn't allow you to do that. And for you to be able to overtake either means the car in front of you has to make a mistake in one of the corners, which is very easy to do, or go wide in one of the turns, or you have to be very, very brave on the brakes and try and dive in on the inside. So, look, I like the circuit, but it is very, very challenging. And I can see slower Formula cars better suited to this than say the GT3s.
All right, we won't muck around too much longer here, but gentlemen, but before we go to Trucker and before we get some more thoughts from Daniel on next week, I couldn't help but share this with you. You've probably already seen it, but it's only just stumbled up in my or popped up in my Instagram feed now from 7 days ago. There's a page on Twitter called Formula God, at Formula One God, and it's talking about Max Verstappen's Mexican GP winning margins, 19, 17, 16, 15, 13, 2017, 18, 21, 2 and 3. A loss of 1.24 seconds each year on the previous winning margin, an average. And therefore he's on track to come second in 2035, but not before. Quite sure. If he's still racing in 2035, and how many world championships will he have racked up by then? Of course, now 3 on the truck. Daniel, of course, you'll be here on Wednesday night with Aidan Schultz and Thursday night with me. I'll get your thoughts on those in just a moment. But before that, next Monday night, when you're back behind the wheel, of course, we're off to Fuji.
Yeah, and that'll be good. Fuji always develops really good racing. It's a really, really, really good track for that. And I'll have gotten a ton of practice because I'll be doing the Fuji 8-hour. Or the official on iRacing. The problem is I'll be in the wrong car. I'll be doing it in the Porsche with my teammates, so I'll get really, really good at that, and hopefully it will carry over to the Ferrari for the Monday.
Yes, exactly. Hey, with regards to what's coming up, mate, Wednesday night, what can we look forward to with you and Schultzy?
Let me just really quickly look this. So I believe it'll be the Downforce Legends at Coda West, and it'll be the GT4s at Donington Park, which is perfect.
Oh, nice.
Donington Park is the perfect track for GT4s.
National or Grand Prix?
That'll be national.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that'll be a really, really good session, I think. And Coda West will be interesting for the Downforce Legends because I can't right now think of the West layout, but if it includes the Fast S's section,
yeah.
Then it'll be really, really I think it'll be good.
West is the old supercar configuration from 2013. Short circuit starts from the pit straight of Formula One and
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get the S's and then you cut left. instead of Friday.
Yeah, that should be good.
Very nicely done, and we're back. The band gets back together on Thursday night, mate. I'm not neglecting you for a third week on the trot. I'm actually back for the last 4 rounds of the year on a Thursday night.
Yeah, and it's not a bad one too. Formula
you know
V's
what
at Laguna Seca.
That'll be good. I'm looking
That'll
forward
be
to that.
crazy.
And Montreal's still to come in the coming weeks as well.
That's right. And then also the Porsches at the Watkins Glen. I love Watkins Glen. You can
I
race
love
anything
Watkins.
there and it'll be good.
Actually, that's a good Thursday night doubleheader that we've got dished out there. Yep. Already excited about that because tonight's was, aside from some supercar stuff, a little bit lackluster, no doubt about that. Hey, Daniel, thank you, mate. Appreciate that.
No worries.
We'll see you on Wednesday night. And Joe Baldwin on the other side of the Noah board. Great to catch up with you. Mountain Men Saturday night just gone. How'd it go, please?
It was a bit of a wild race in the MX-5, actually.
When isn't it a wild race in the MX-5?
I know, right? Yeah. Yours truly managed to put on pole, which I really didn't expect, and then speared off turn 1 and took the front corner off it, and which I've been known to do on more than one occasion. There's a few guys so always throw it away on lap 1, but it took the whole race to get back. But look, we had a heap of guys in there. It was really competitive racing on Saturday night, which was good, and it was pretty clean. Only one guy got shown the door, and he's been shown the door once before. But some people, they don't like to break habits. He's not a member of the club, so that's he probably won't be if he keeps going the way he is. But that's up to him. But it's certainly getting pretty good numbers this season since we've gone from the fortnightly format to run it every week. It's probably getting a lot better momentum. I think guys are happy to forego a social life and come and race with us guys on a Saturday night.
Nothing wrong with foregoing the social life. Mine's quietening back down significantly right now after a very busy few weeks. And I'm actually, as much as I'm detesting the idea of going back to, the year 1911 on Wednesday afternoon, I am very much looking forward to my own bed. It has been 7 weeks. Hey, truck.
When you get up there, you'll have to feed your horse and cart to get around.
Well, that's 100%. My auntie's on the farm. She'll probably have a couple of hay bales I can take with me. It'll be great. Very nicely done. Hey, truckers, for the second race for you, how'd it go, please?
Oh, look, the Bailey ladders Ferrari. I think I started 4th after the result in race 1, and like Woodsy said earlier on, I didn't put front tyres on in the pits. I didn't take note of how bad the tyres were at the end of race 1. If I had I probably would have made the decision to put front tyres on. I lost a couple of positions in about the last 4 laps, so I probably had a third there if I had have put tyres on. But when you got Greg Heaney and Gary Cousins chasing you down, they're pretty speedy characters. So I'm just happy. I don't think I'd touched panels with anyone tonight. And on a track like Lédenon, I've got to be honest, going into it, I thought it was going to be a little bit of a carnage fest, if I'm brutally honest. Just like we've seen tracks like Oran Park, which is probably similar in size and shape in a sense, and that's always a little bit of argy-bargy, doesn't matter what class you're in. And I was expecting the same thing tonight, but it wasn't. It was actually incredibly clean racing. I'm actually looking at the standings thing at the moment. I think I can only see one box with a red number, which is a penalty. So it just shows you how well behaved everybody was on probably what's one of the trickiest tracks on the service at the moment.
And it'll be interesting to see when it next is part of a GT3 series calendar. I think someone like Denchi didn't mind it in race 1, but quickly changed his mind in race 2.
Once he got put in the pack.
Once he got put in the pack. But in saying that, if we let it ebb and flow and evolve over a 60-minute race, it would just destroy rather than the sprint affair. Always fraught with danger when we go to a new track, but you've got to tick the box to I guess, explore it and see what it's all
Yeah.
about before you decide whether it's a stay or a go. And I think there's a few people very happy to see the back of it. Trucker, on the subject of that, we're going to let you go. We're going to wrap things up here relatively early for us on a Monday night. Because Adam Lavis is on the early alarm, so too is Liam Banks. Thank you for that. We'll catch up with you, if not Wednesday, certainly Thursday.
Thank you very much. I'll see you there.
There he is, the great man. Trucker Joe Baldwin on the other side of the Nullarbor. Just a quick nod to him and Brock Kelly as well. I mentioned it last week how nice it was to catch up with them, but I put them to task. I got them to do some vocal work for the West Bromwich Radio broadcast with the XL Nationals, which I go into the booth to do on Thursday. I'll be back in Ipswich, so I'll start the production work for it on Thursday. It goes to air the 18th and 19th of November, and I will actually let Trucker in on some news regarding that once we're off air here. Daniel, thank you. Chapo, thank you. Joe, thank you. Chapo, what's next for you, please, apart from the racing side of things? When do we next have you in the booth?
We've lost Chapo.
Which is unfortunate, because I was going to say that there is... Richard did have a 10-second penalty in that race.
Hang on now. Hang on.
I'm sorry.
Excuse
I'm
me?
sorry. I'm back. Hold the phone.
Hold the phone, indeed.
Is this facts, is it?
Looking at the spreadsheet, yeah.
Oh.
Let's go.
Well, in saying, okay, so do we know what Mitchum's penalty's for?
Just says contact.
Contact. All right, so hefty contact.
Is that one we saw early on? Early in race 3.
Gotcha.
On like lap 1 or 2.
Yep.
We had that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's unlucky for Richard, but therefore that means that Sam Chapman and Simon Cox are the beneficiaries of that. Well done. So now Banksy has to rephrase his question. When are you coming back to tick off the silver box, because bronze and gold are now in the kitty?
Actually, I think he has it up his goals now. So when are you going to win the championship, Sam? That's the only thing left now.
Well, I don't think this season's on the cards, but maybe in 2024 we'll come back and give it a red hot crack. Let's see how we go.
Congratulations.
That's very nice. Very good.
Thank you.
Well done. Congratulations, Chapo. Obviously not the way you want to win a race, but you'll take the lucky breaks when you can get them. 100%. There's the updated championship standings for you. Ladies and gentlemen, 354 for Denty. That lead has been hacked into by Simon Cox. It's now just 62 points. Drop rounds now forming part of the equation as well. Wayne Hewitt, 244, plays Jared Knight, 243, 233 for Nick Wood. That's really tightened up just nicely. The battle for third, 227 for Richard Mitchum. That result tonight, despite the penalty, has done him no harm whatsoever. And Sam Chapman on 200 points. Matt Distill, Thomas Martin and Jack Jackson make up the top 10. The AM split, Paul Wood now to the top of the points. Have a look at that, Woodsy. Had we known that, we would have kept him around a little bit longer. Fantastic. 9 points over Gary Cousins. Jermaine Tackler a further 11 back on that. 20 points covers the top 3. Bradley Curtin's only 2 points away. Dale Sharp, 1 point away. 23 points covers first and fifth in GT3 AM. That is fantastic. Another 5 back to Greg Heaney, then Joe Baldwin, 199, just edging out James Francone, and 10 back to Sean Benici with 8 and Schultz, making up the top 10 on 154 points. So, 89 points. 89 points covers first and 10th at the moment, but I'm particularly interested in the fact that the top 6 are covered by 28. That makes for very good viewing over the next 3 weeks. And Trucker, of course, Fuji Speedway next will be distinctly different. Then, of course, I think we've got a trip to Watkins tonight to the boot there, and then, of course, Mount Panorama. So we get rid of this hit and giggle circuit that's a bit stop-start, and we go to some real horsepower heavy trucks.
Oh, look, Fuji, I think, is going to be the bread and butter for these cars. I think it'll bring out the best racing that these cars can do. Having the big long straight, it'll give you a bit of a chance to relax and reset, which absolutely does not happen at Lédenon. There is no rest there at all. So Watkins Glen Boot, like it's that's the full track. So
that'll be a lot of fun. And I mean, obviously we're going to round out up at the mountain. So I just noticed I'm only 30 points or something out. So those 3 tracks, I like Fuji and Watkins. So hopefully we can have a crack to get up into the top 5 in the by the end of it. But that Greg Heaney and Dale Sharp, they're up in there, and they're very, very fast. So they whipped me tonight. So it's going to be a good finish up to the season.
Oh, mate, very nicely done. Banksy, some final thoughts from you. Not the most exhilarating night we've had at the office, but thankfully there was some good life in that Super 2 race area.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that pro split race was brilliant. I had no idea who's going to win for most of that race. So I think the amateurs were actually so well behaved. I think we have to really give the amateurs some credit because they drove that first race very professionally with a very solid pace and 1 minute, low 1 minute 19s, high 1 minute 18s. Similar pace to what we saw in the pros and with way less incidents. So the amateurs really should put themselves on the back. They put together a really compelling showing for their race, and then the pro race was just great fun. Incidents all throughout, different strategies, didn't know who's going to win, and then a last minute call to say there'd been a 10-second penalty for the winner, so Chapo gets his first win. That's entertaining in my book.
Yeah, it certainly is. Very entertaining indeed. And it's, well, for the most part, there were processional phases, but the parts that delivered the action and brought the excitement certainly made up for the rest of it, no doubt about that. And a good strategy game, a good couple of scraps there. And Matty Dench just coming out and stealing the limelight with the fastest lap of the night as well, just to reinforce the point of why he's staring down an 8th title in GT3. Very nicely done. We do it each Monday, Wednesday, Thursday night with thanks to the people scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Of course, they include Waste Options, Orbic Australia, Sprayton Cider. How good to have them on board. Pure Tasmanian. Login Systems. Player One Sim Gear. Great to have them back on board this season. Lobesy Racing. Good on you, Trina. M-Wave. And of course also Johnny Simpson at Flash Graphics. And actually it's probably a good point. At this point, gentlemen, because I wasn't on air yesterday, but I know it would have been mentioned. I saw an announcement from Jono over the course of the weekend. Can we just tip the hat to him and say thanks for his work in the El Presidente role? I did read something to suggest that he's going to relinquish that role. Obviously, he'll still play an integral role in the club and stay on board, but it just goes to show, Joe, I'm going to bring you in here at this point in time, and Adam too. Just goes to show how hard a job it is, and sometimes a thankless job as well. Because as soon as life and other commitments creep back in, it does become a bit more of a juggle. And this is not a straightforward job. This is almost 7 days a week for you guys, trying to keep everybody happy, which is a near impossible task.
Certainly is. You know, there's probably 400 members at the moment, and if you get 1% of those people with a gripe at some point during the week, means you're going to have 41 messages in your inbox. You know, 10% rather, but you'll have 4 or 5 guys a week that'll be smashing your inbox. So it's look, thanks to John, he stepped up when we needed the void filled, and he did a great job. Personal matters, I think, have taken him out of it, but more than just him being the president, he's a guy who's been around on the committee level, I think, now for the last 2 years, and he's done some great things behind the scenes. He was instrumental in the setting up the merch store and a few other things that guys just probably don't realise that goes on behind the scenes, and it is a thankless task, and all we do just implore the guys that have got a gripe, just be kind, and talk to people as they want to be spoken to, regardless of the situation, and we'll get things done as best we can. So the hunt's on now for the next guy that will step up, and we'll have a discussion tomorrow night and see what the go is there, I guess.
and in saying that as well, you mentioned the merch store and other things. Flash graphics remains an integral part of everything that we do here. How many liveries has the bloke designed over the course of time for the 15 seasons on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club? We pride ourselves on the liveries, the car presentations that we see here week in, week out, and John has had a big hand in that for much of the journey.
Oh, look, John's work's next level. Don't if you need any work done, by all means, outside of the club, there's no reason why you can't hit John up to get some work done. His work's second to none, and he's always fast. Like we've had interclubs, and I remember our great mate Hot Lap Merritt. He got roped into the NASCAR race we had a little while ago, and of course, because he's a Toyota dealer, John had already done the Ford and the Chev, and last minute he goes and buys a Toyota, and John stepped up in about 20 minutes and did the paint for him. So, support those that support the club. Guys, hit him up if you want a paint done for your team or for individual. I'm sure he'd enjoy the work, and so long as he's got time outside his real world commitments, he'll see you good. His work's second to none, really.
Exactly right. Magnificent work, and obviously more updates as they come to hand on that developing story. Joe Baldwin, thank you. Hey, Banksy, looking forward to hearing your dulcet tones again next Monday night, and go and get some sleep, mate. You've earned it, because obviously yesterday you guys did a little bit of overtime, and we're only 3 weeks away from the next round of the Enduros.
Yeah, they're coming thick and fast into the end of the year. Should be great. We're at 4 hours of the Nürburgring next, which will be really good. And then we've got the 6 hours of Le Mans to wrap up the Endurance Series. And looking forward to being back here next Monday and hearing your voice as well, Zach.
Thank you, mate. And it'll be nice for me to be back on a Thursday night as well. We'll leave you in the capable hands of Daniel Correa-Sarr and, of course, Aidan Schultz on Wednesday night in the meantime. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And Banksy mentioned the Nürburgring, not the Nordschleife, folks. It's going to be more than a 4-lap race, okay? I promise you. It's the Grand Prix configuration on that occasion. This is what we've got coming your way. Leipzig Racing up-and-comers. And this is Watkins Glen and the Toyota 86s. That'll be what price of admission tomorrow night, 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time. And then, of course, on to Alton Park. Throughout the chicanes for the Civil War, the GT1 World Challenge. And we get stuck into that from 9:40 Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow night. Wednesday night on broadcast, the Downforce Legends, as Daniel mentioned earlier, from Coda. And, of course, on to Donington Park for Orvik Australia GT4. The boys are on air from 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Thursday night, same time, same place, same channel. A different equation, different menu, if you like. The main course is Formula V. And we're very excited about that, with thanks to Sprite Insider. That's from WeatherTech Raceway, for goodness sake. 3 sprint races there from 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Back it up with sprint racing from the Watkins Glen Cup configuration. And that will be good fun for Porsche Cup for Sprayton as well. Friday night, the open wheelers that are at the forefront of a bit of discussion earlier from the Circuit de Magny Core. And that'll be a 40-lap race from 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Off to the Mount Panorama Circuit on Saturday night, Remembrance Day in the Legacy Riley. And that's from 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, 32 laps there. Next Monday night, we get stuck into the third last round of the year for Player 1 Sim Gear Super 2. That'll be from the Chicago Street Circuit, 7:50 Eastern Daylight Time, followed by at 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time, the last of the 60-minute races in the GT3 series from the Fuji International Speedway. And that is, of course, brought to you by Waste Options. That's it from us. We're done. Well done to Chapo. Well done to all the other winners and losers on the night that was from both MotorLand Aragón and also from the new circuit, the Lédenon circuit in France. Now, it's going to be interesting to see when we see that track again. We know we'll see Aragón again over yonder somewhere down the track. But it's fair to say there are mixed reviews tonight. There are a few walking wounded. There are a few with the tail dangling between their legs, but not if you've been able to master it on an otherwise challenging night. So on that note, we say goodbye to you. Thanks very much for your company. We look forward to doing it all again Wednesday and Thursday as Week 7 of Term 4 continues. On behalf of Adam Lavis, Liam Banks, and the entire GSRC broadcast commentary and production team here, From virtual France, I'm Zach Caden bidding you a very good night.